Chapter 292. Su Fang, who was floating in the air, heard Lu Wei and Lin Yining whispering. He couldn't help being startled. It's impossible to keep secrets in the immortal sealing sect. What I did in the immortal heaven has already spread in the immortal heaven. After resting for a few days, they continued on their journey. They had to step on their flying swords to fly in the water. Without a flying sword, they couldn't fly for a long time. Even immortal realm disciples couldn't do it. Along the way, they passed by a few small islands and met a few cultivators. The four of them didn't hide their identities, so when cultivators saw the immortal sealing sect's disciples, they could only stay away. We've been traveling for a long time. It should take another half a month to reach the outer realm islands. There's a nameless island ahead. Let's go there and rest. The four of them weren't fast on the water. Lu Wei was holding a map. It seemed he had been to the outer realm islands from here before. He was very familiar with the water. Since Lu Wei was the strongest, Su Fang didn't have any objections. A few days later, they arrived at a group of a dozen islands. Some of the islands were very vast, and the mountains couldn't be seen due to the clouds. He secretly used his great perfection realm power to sense, but he didn't find anything. The main thing was that the water wasn't land. There were gales and waves everywhere. Russell. The four of them entered a forest in the depths of one of the islands. They each took a defensive position and began to rest. In the belly of the mountain behind the forest, a dark gaze was locked onto all the movements in the forest. It's the immortal sealing sect's disciples. Forget it. They're from the immortal sealing sect. We can't afford to offend them. If it's a few loose cultivators, we can kill them halfway. None of them are immortal realm experts. There were two powerful immortal realm experts who had already sensed the four of them. However, the two of them knew they were from the immortal sealing sect. After secretly watching for a while, they could only leave. Fortunately, they're afraid of the immortal sealing sect. If they sneak attacked, no one would be able to survive. In the quiet forest, there was a damp air. The four of them didn't seem to notice anything, but Su Fang had been using his great perfection realm power. He had sensed the nearby movements and discovered the two hidden experts. If the two immortal realm experts really attacked, Qian Huanyun, Lu Wei, and Lin Yining wouldn't be able to resist. I have to find a chance to break through to the immortal realm stage. Let's go to the outer realm islands. Su Fang didn't care. After resting for 2 days, the four of them set out again. Why is there the smell of blood? They went deeper into the water. There were no islands around. Lu Wei, who was flying at the front, signaled for everyone to stop. His expression became more and more serious. Lin Yining looked at Su Fang and Qian Huanyun and said, I also smelled it. Could it be that someone was attacked by a water monster? It seems calm, but we'd better seize the opportunity and find a place to settle down. Senior sister is right. Senior brother Lu, let's hurry. Qian Huanyun agreed. Whoosh. The four of them rode on their flying swords and doubled their speed. Can you keep up? Qian Huanyun transmitted his voice to Su Fang. Since Su Fang was controlling a high-grade flying sword, his cultivation level was lower than theirs. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Su Fang drives the flying sword normally with his own cultivation base. His speed has reached the level of immortality. In fact, with his current speed, he has already surpassed Lu Wei. There's a reddish-black island, that's great. After a few hours, the sky was about to turn dark. Their luck was too good. A black dot appeared in the water in front of them. When they got closer, it turned out to be a dark red island. Just in time. They quickly arrived at the island. When they landed, Su Fang suddenly felt that something was off. An indescribable aura was rampaging within his body. We have to leave this place. Su Fang didn't know why, but it didn't seem like a good omen. He looked at the three of them and said, If you're feeling nervous, let's leave this place. Lu Wei shook his head. It's going to be dark soon. Normally, it wouldn't matter. But in this vast body of water, no one can predict what will happen. Although this island is small, it's enough for us to conserve our energy. There's no special aura. Let's just rest here. Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining also wanted to rest here. Bang! As soon as the two girls finished speaking, before Su Fang could explain, there was a sudden tremor below them. The four of them simultaneously felt as if the island under their feet had disappeared, and an invisible gravitational force pulled them into the water along with the momentum of the previous tremor. Now the island had actually disappeared. However, not far from them, there was a terrifying black shadow moving under the water. Splash! Splash! Because the island had mysteriously disappeared, it left behind a shocking whirlpool that sucked in the four of them. After 3 breaths of time, 4 streams of water rushed out of the whirlpool and summoned their flying swords. Qian Huanyun was completely soaked, and her clothes stuck tightly to her body. She panicked. The island suddenly disappeared, and there's a strong stench of blood. As expected, there's something wrong here. Lin Yining trembled in fear. Let's leave. There's something strange here. Lu Wei was also afraid. He really should have listened to Su Fang's advice. If he had decisively left, this wouldn't have happened. Boom! The moving shadow under the water forcefully broke through the water. It was actually the island that had just disappeared. A giant monster! How was that an island? The island was actually a giant monster with a scarlet-black armor on its back. The giant demon shook the water, causing huge waves to roll up. The moment it stood up, many tentacles wrapped around a demon corpse in front of its chest. The giant demon seemed to be a snail-like existence. The black shell on its back was abnormally sturdy, with many red demon patterns bursting out. It had a large number of sharp tentacles. The demon corpse that was wrapped around was being cut into pieces by the tentacles and swallowed by the demon head that was shining with the red lantern light. Run! Lu Wei was truly worthy of being in the 6th stage of the Undying Realm. He was the first to react. He shouted at the other 3, and the 4 of them immediately flew away on their flying swords. PFFF! PFFF! The giant monster suddenly roared. As soon as the 4 of them flew away, a wall of water immediately formed in front of them. It instantly reached 300 meters and blocked the 4 of them. Furthermore, a shocking wall of water appeared around them, seemingly wanting to trap the 4 of them here. Qi Explosion Talisman. Lu Wei flicked his finger. Lu Wei's cultivation was high, and he was knowledgeable. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that. Seeing that the wall of water was about to form a huge water prison, he threw out a few talismans. These talismans rustled above and exploded fiercely. They actually had the aura of an Undying Realm expert. Indeed, they had some influence on the surrounding water. However, although the Qi Explosion Talisman was powerful in front of an Undying Realm expert, it wasn't affected much by the giant monster's control of the water. Jade Sky Cold Mystic Technique. Ice Pillar. At this moment, Lin Yining and Qian Huanyun also walked out of their fear. The 2 of them had cultivated one of the 7 great mystical abilities, the Jade Sky Cold Mystic Technique. A piece of ice pillar condensed, and it was indeed effective. The ice pillar condensed under the Qi Explosion Talisman's aura that was about to disappear. Every wave that touched the ice pillar started to freeze, as expected of one of the 7 great mystical abilities. Moreover, it was a water-type mystical ability, which happened to be very useful in this water. This was probably why Lin Yining and Qian Huanyun formed a team. Lin Yining shouted, "The power of ice can last for a few breaths. Let's go." Lu Wei and Su Fang immediately flew towards the icicles, while Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining met up in midair. The 2 women continued to circulate the power of ice, and the 4 of them flew out of the water with great difficulty, reaching a height of 1,000 feet. Unexpectedly, a blood shadow suddenly smashed towards them. It was just too fast. When these people saw this, they were all scared stiff, because the blood shadow was actually a large amount of broken flesh and bones. Moreover, its strength was ferocious. Puff, the four of them vomited blood from the impact of the demon blood, bones, and minced meat. Lu Wei's injuries weren't light either, and he didn't have the same heroic spirit as before. He took out a flying sword and said, "Dharma treasure. We can only use the Dharma treasure to carve out a bloody path, and then use the teleportation talisman to escape from this region of water. Wind and fire twin spirit swords, you guys go first. I'll cover you." At this moment, they didn't expect Su Fang to take out a shocking Dharma treasure, the Xian Guang. It shook off a lot of the minced meat and arrived in front of the surging water. As expected of a high-grade Dharma treasure, Lu Wei looked at the mid-grade flying sword in his hand. It was 100 times worse than the wind and fire twin spirit swords. Qian Huanyun was worried. "Can you resist it? The wind and fire twin spirit swords can increase my speed and attack power, especially the spiritual fire. Most water demons are afraid of fire. You guys go first. Later, I'll circulate the power of the Dharma treasure with all my strength and quickly catch up to you." After saying that, Su Fang raised the wind and fire twin spirit swords and faced the water waves created by the giant demon. Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi. When Su Fang was a few dozen feet away, he wiped the sword with his left hand. Then, the wind and fire twin spirit swords burned and slashed out, releasing a large amount of burning Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi. Lu Wei protected Qian Huanyun and Lin Yining. "He's so strong. He's ranked first on the mortal ranking. He's only in the 5th stage of the immortal realm. Why does he have the strength of the 5th stage of the undying realm?" With the wind and fire twin spirit swords, junior apprentice Brother Fang should be able to deal with it for a while. "Let's leave this place first." Qian Huanyun ignored his injuries and circulated his sword Qi. He shouted and flew back with Lu Wei and Lin Yining. "Let's go. Qi Qi." Under the wind and fire twin spirit swords, the burning Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi was no weaker than an imperishable realm expert. It could block a part of the water attacks because the giant demon still hadn't attacked. After sensing that Lu Wei, Qian Huanyun, and Lin Yining were far away, he regained his composure and activated the Flesh Fetus Divine Armor with a smile. Pa pa pa. At this moment, the surrounding water waves exploded once more. Although the burning Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi was extinguished, the giant demon was quickly approaching. At this moment Greenfeather King slowly said, "Kid, this is a very powerful demon in the water domain. It's also very rare. It's called the Blood Conch, and its advantage is its defense. It's also a type of demon with very low intelligence. If that's the case, it won't be of much use to me if I capture it." Su Fang actually wanted to suppress this giant demon and make it a commander. It's useless to suppress it. It should have been affected by the worldly phenomena and lost its consciousness. It's going berserk in the water domain and fighting with other demons. If you kill it with a primordial chaos saint, you'll be able to obtain an extremely powerful Yang Qi bead that can help you advance a realm. This Blood Conch strength is about the same as the Leech King's. Unfortunately, it can't compare to the Leech King in any other aspect except its defense. Suppress the Blood Conch. This was what Greenfeather King had said. He was also a member of the demon race, but he actually wanted Su Fang to kill his own kind. Demon. What was a demon? Su Fang had thought that Greenfeather King was different from Dao Wuliang and other demons, but when he heard his cold words, even he shuddered. Demons were just so capricious. No one could see through them. Fine. This Blood Conch has already gone crazy and has no self-awareness. It kills everyone it sees. If I let it live, who knows how many lives it will take in the water domain. Killing intent immediately spread in his heart. Chapter 293. He originally wanted to add a small commander, but he encountered a giant demon with low intelligence. Then there was no other way. It was not very useful. Instead, He had to spend energy and resources to condense the blood conch into a human form and become a high-level demon. Kill. Su Fang stepped on the wind and fire dual spirit swords and used the fire cloud wings. In his strongest state, he increased his speed and flew into the sky. Roar! Unexpectedly, the blood conch also suddenly roared angrily at this time. It shook the sky and affected Su Fang. His momentum and speed slowed down. Suddenly, he heard a crash and hurriedly looked forward. The blood conch was actually frantically running for its life. I haven't even made a move and it already knows to be afraid. After stabilizing his momentum, the surrounding waves also collapsed. Su Fang looked forward in confusion. Seeing the blood conch fleeing in panic, he did not care about anything else and chased after it on the wind and fire dual spirit swords. I let you escape last time. You can still escape this time. Just as he chased after it, he heard a strong shout in front of the blood conch. It shattered the gusts of wind and directly pierced through. No wonder the blood conch wanted to escape. I thought it was afraid of me. Who knew that it was afraid of another powerhouse? Su Fang slowed down and curiously used the perfect stage ability. He was immediately shocked because an extremely fast wind-breaking sound bypassed the blood conch in a breath's time and appeared behind the monster. Looking closely, behind the blood conch, there was originally turbulent waves, but suddenly a figure appeared. The figure shot out a flaming chain in the sky. As soon as the chain appeared, there was a crackling explosion. Whoosh! The flaming chain wrapped around the blood conch and forced the monster to freeze in the water. The monster was a monster, and it was a water monster. With a strong shake, it actually shook the chain away. However, under the control of the figure, the chain hit the blood conch again and again like a whip. That person is only in the immortal realm. Su Fang, who was 100 meters away, prepared to leave in order to avoid any trouble. However, the blood conch continued to struggle, making it difficult for the figure to gain the upper hand. As such, the figure's aura once again exploded out. Seeing this, Su Fang was incredibly shocked. The other party was also in the immortal realm. His strength seemed to be at the 7th level, which meant that he was at the 7th level of the longevity realm. He was only 2 levels higher than him, but with just these 2 levels, he was able to fight against a giant monster that had reached the young infant realm. Isn't this too heaven-defying? What kind of peerless genius was that? Su Fang, who was about to leave, stayed behind out of curiosity. He saw the blood conch display its monstrous strength and truly display the strength of a young soul. Chi opened its mouth to spit out a jet of inky venom demonic poison. The venom was shockingly poisonous. As it sprayed out of the air, any wave of water that it touched was instantly corroded into a burning poisonous flame, which then evaporated in an instant. Not only was there venom, but the blood conch also spat out a bloody mist. Although it was called a bloody mist, its attack was as terrifying as a magic treasure. It shook the natural space until it was about to shatter. The figure was shaken out by the continuous attacks. It was a man in black. He happened to see Su Fang behind him, but his face was full of indifference, which did not match his 20 years of age at all. So young. Su Fang was shocked once again. Regardless of cultivation or age, the other party was around the same height as him. This really made him more and more curious. In terms of strength, this young cultivator was even stronger than him. I'll give you a hand. Su Fang's curiosity actually caused him to ride his flying sword closer. The black-clothed youth suddenly shouted coldly, "Don't get close to this monster. Its demonic poison is different from others. Once you're infected, your entire body will rot. There is no cure for it." "I'm not afraid of demonic poison." Su Fang slowed down. The blood conch's venom had enveloped everything within a mile of him. The other party was not joking. It seemed that the venom was the blood conch's innate ability. Demon subduing chains. The black-clothed youth slashed his palms, and a large amount of burning flame chains surged out from his surroundings. They tore apart the demonic poison and attacked the blood conch. At this moment, mysterious and ancient imprints appeared on the black-clothed youth's neck and face. Once the imprints appeared, his aura became even more unfathomable. Bang bang, the blood conch's body was already covered in wounds. It seemed that it had been injured by the flame chains. He didn't expect the ordinary-looking chains to be so powerful. Dragon snake coil. Su Fang also moved to help. He slashed his wind and fire dual spirit sword at the area of demonic poison. A powerful storm suddenly struck the demonic poison. Whoosh! The blood conch was currently using its tentacles to knock away the flame chains. When it saw Su Fang coming over, it angrily spat out a stream of venom. Su Fang suddenly used his formless flame cloud saber. Without waiting for the venom to approach, a large amount of burning saber light fell, causing explosions and flames to erupt within the area of venom. Although it couldn't injure the blood conch, it was able to burn away the surrounding demonic poison layer by layer. Demon subduing seal. The black-clothed youth took advantage of the large area of flame saber light to trap the blood conch. He used tens of thousands of flame chains to trap the blood conch in the center. The blood conch didn't give up. Its tentacles exploded with astonishing strength, breaking the chains again and again. Its strength was too shocking. Even though the black-clothed youth's strength had reached a terrifying level, he was still unable to contend with this kind of giant water monster. Nether young nascent soul. The blood conch seemed to be becoming more and more terrifying, and it was about to escape. The black-clothed youth suddenly emitted a gloomy, cold, and terrifying aura. Su Fang was attracted by this aura. He felt that the youth was an evil expert. When he looked again, he was shocked. At some point, a coffin had appeared behind the black-clothed youth's back. Coffin? Yes, Su Fang believed what he saw. A 3-meter-tall black coffin appeared behind the black-clothed youth, but it wasn't real. It was an intense primordial spirit aura. Young nascent soul. The shock was indescribable. That coffin was actually a young nascent soul. Su Fang had never seen this kind of young nascent soul before. He immediately signaled Green Feather Monarch to also look at this inexplicable scene. It's indeed a young nascent soul, but it wasn't cultivated by him. It was obtained by accident through some means. There's only one possibility for a longevity realm cultivator to have a young nascent soul. An expert forcibly planted another young nascent soul in his divine aperture. There are other possibilities, but I can't say for sure. Green Feather Monarch was also shocked. He had lived for 10,000 years, but he had never seen such a scene. This kid is too strange. He's a longevity realm cultivator like you, and his fate wheel is very young and vigorous. He must have cultivated for decades, not 100 years. Is that so? He had cultivated for less than 100 years, yet he had such strength. Wait! Green Feather Monarch's attention was drawn to the black-clothed youth's flame chains. Sealing chains can restrain demonic chi. He's a demon catcher. A demon catcher? Su Fang had never heard of such a thing before. Demon catchers rarely appear in the Zhuotian realm. Otherwise, if there were a large number of them, the Zhuotian realm wouldn't have any space for the demon race to live. This king went to other small worlds and encountered several demon catchers. Each of them had magic treasures specialized in suppressing demons or sealing divine abilities. Demon catchers are very rare. These kinds of cultivators specialize in suppressing demons, using them to cultivate, or killing them for trade. Some specialize in refining demons into spirit treasures or magic tools. The demon race hates these kinds of people the most. Green Feather Monarch sighed with surprise. But this king once heard a senior mention that there were many demon catchers in the past, and they had established their own forces. But later, they kept falling into desolation. It seems the heavenly Daos still favor my demon race. So he's a demon catcher. No wonder he's so powerful in front of the blood conch. Su Fang was also confused. But the thing he was most curious about was that coffin-like young nascent soul. How could a human have such a young nascent soul? When he looked again, the coffin had already vanished. Presumably, the black-clothed youth had no choice but to use his mysterious young nascent soul. Chi. In front of the black-clothed young man's chest, a streak of golden, sacred light spurted out at lightning speed. The light swept toward the blood conch. But the blood conch used some unknown power to spit out poison and use its black armor to block it. When the light touched the blood, there was no collision or vibration. When the light touched the blood conch's black armor, the light was like a large net. It wrapped around the blood conch at a speed that the blood conch couldn't react to. Then, it disappeared into the black-clothed youth's chest. It had vanished. Just like that, an entire island's blood conch was suppressed by the black-clothed youth. This was the power of a demon catcher. That human has an incomparably terrifying magical treasure. It should be a Tao item, because that light contained the aura of a magical treasure. Green Feather King saw through the clues. Even if it was a magical treasure, it was still his ability. Cough. The black-clothed youth seemed exhausted. He slowly walked out of the sea of poison and icily glanced at Su Fang. Then he said something that shocked Su Fang. You have several strands of demon qi in your body. It seems you don't fear the blood conch. You also have a way to suppress it. I heard that the Grand Immortal Sealing Sect doesn't have a way to suppress demons unless it's the Myriad God Seal. But you're at the longevity realm. There's no way you can use such a divine ability. You can actually sense that? I'm a monster hunter, and I've dealt with monsters for a long time. I'm able to see through anyone who's been in contact with monsters for a long time. Furthermore, I can sense that there's an extraordinary monster aura in a certain space within your body. It contains a trace of holy divine qi. Senior, you can also sense it? Su Fang was incomparably shocked. He immediately communicated with Green Feather King. Green Feather King said, "This is the power of a demon catcher. But only a true demon catcher would be able to sense it in such detail. It can only mean that this person truly isn't simple. Even the Immortal Sealing Sect couldn't sense this king's aura, but he did. This person was definitely not an ordinary person. Compared to those so-called geniuses, he was tens of thousands of times more powerful." Su Fang wanted to befriend him. Cupping his fists, he said, "Brother, you have good eyesight. I am Su Fang, and I am currently cultivating in the Immortal Sealing Sect. May I ask which major power you are from?" The black-clothed man slowly walked over, his clean face cold. "Hidden Truth Island, Li Haojie. I can't compare to you, a wandering cultivator. Hidden Truth Island, I remember. It's near the Devil King continent. There are still many islands there." Su Fang withdrew his aura. Li Haojie's aura had also returned to normal, but he still seemed weak and tired. "I'm afraid that no one will recognize Songjin Island now. On the day I was born, the second abnormal sun appeared in the sky. Not long after that, a large number of crazy demons attacked the island, killing all the mortals on the island. My family will take their leave first. If fate wills it, we will meet again." Li Haojie flew alone to the outer region islands. This was an extremely cold person. The day he was born was the day the second sun appeared in the sky. I remember that I was touching the heavenly gate at that time. I had just succeeded in reaching the heavenly gate when I encountered Qiulingji. Day turned to night, and from then on 2 suns appeared in the sky. In that case, this Li Haojie is a dozen years younger than me. He's also a wandering cultivator, but his cultivation has reached the 7th level of the longevity realm. Li Haojie's words seemed to be a helpless sigh, but it caused Su Fang to be greatly moved. Chapter 294. He clearly remembered the heaven and earth anomaly that had appeared when he had fought the rattan snake with his dream and touched the heavenly gate. This was a scene that he would remember for the rest of his life. Li Haojie had just been born when Su Fang had successfully entered Tianmen province. He was more than 10 years younger than Su Fang, but he was still able to suppress the blood conch as a loose cultivator. How extraordinary was he! He stood in the sky for a long time. He did not expect to meet such a person. Whoosh! He rode his flying sword and left the water region. Half an hour later, he met up with Lu Wei, Lin Yining, and Qian Huanyun in the water region dozens of miles away. They were happy that Su Fang had returned alive, but they also felt that it was unreal. Even Lu Wei and Su Fang's tone had changed. They were no longer as arrogant. The four of them hurriedly flew toward the extraterritorial islands. They did not stop at any of the islands along the way. Finally, they arrived at the extraterritorial islands without any mishaps. Su Fang initially thought that the extraterritorial islands were a large number of islands everywhere. In fact, all the islands had been merged by the heaven and earth anomaly to form a continent. He learned from Lu Wei that the large water region where the extraterritorial islands were located had the same moving power as the extraterritorial secret realms. It was constantly moving. After tens of thousands of years, countless islands had merged together to form a huge island continent. The water region had changed everything. However, there were still some places on the island continent that had not completely transformed into a continent. They formed some very dangerous water regions with many water monsters. We can't be careless here. There are water monsters in the water region, and evil spirits appear in the depths of the extraterritorial islands all year round. After the heaven and earth anomaly last time, many big goblin also came here. In the dark night, the four of them sat around the fire, drinking wine and eating spirit fruit. This was the first time they had been so satisfied in the past few months. Lu Wei was introducing the extraterritorial islands to everyone. Actually, there are a few underground markets in the depths of the extraterritorial islands. I came here several times not to search for treasures, but to buy some. You can meet all kinds of people here. If you have the resources, you can even buy king-grade artifacts. Since we are here, we can take a look around the underground markets. There's also an underground market here. Su Fang was very curious. A market had actually been established in such a dangerous place. They're all established by clans, rogue cultivators, and some small factions. I've also heard that some experts from large factions have started operating here. Anyway, it's very interesting. Since we're here, let's take a look first. It's only a few days from here to the flying immortal island. I have no objections. Then let's go take a look. This is the first time I've come to the outer region after entering the high immortal heaven. I want to see what it's like. Lin Yining and Qian Huanyun were both very curious. Su Fang naturally didn't have any objections. Since there were several underground markets here, they might be able to find some treasures. Who knows, there might be some unexpected gains. From another point of view, he actually didn't have to take risks to search for treasures like most cultivators, and he already possessed sufficient ability to purchase any treasure. Even king-grade magic artifacts weren't difficult for him. Only true natural spirit treasures like the Mortal Emperor's Bright Wheel Fragment, the Immortal Gate, and the Divine Image Jade Annulus were worthy of him taking risk. The next morning, the four of them flew into the depths of the outer region. Along the way, they encountered more and more cultivators, and also disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect. When it was almost dusk, the four of them arrived at a very large mountain. It should have been a very large island in the past. Behind the mountain was an astonishingly large valley. When they arrived here, they saw a completely different scene. There was no coldness in the outer region. There were jewels and treasures everywhere, or there were many towers. There were also some unique palaces. It was completely a small town. There was no barrier to protect this place, but there were some Immortal Realm experts secretly observing the surroundings. They were worried that some crazy big goblin like the Blood Conch would break in here. Lu Wei led the three of them into the valley. They immediately saw all kinds of cultivators trading magic treasures. The surrounding pavilions and palaces were places for trading, and the prices were higher than the peddlers outside. Since we're here, let's stroll around here for a few days. Lu Wei and Lin Yining left as a pair, leaving Su Fang and Qian Huanyun to look around. The two of them chose a stone building. From the outside, it looked like a stone building, but the inside was made of countless gems and inlaid with quite a few formation runes. It seemed the manager of this stone building was truly an expert. Inside, there were bustling cultivators looking for treasures. There were all kinds of spirit herbs to all kinds of magic treasures. As the saying went, a sparrow might be small, but it still had all its vital organs. There were several immortal realm experts in charge of maintaining order. There were 2 floors inside. The first floor was filled with ordinary treasures. Hearing the exclamations from the second floor, Su Fang and Qian Huanyun curiously went up. This is a treasure that contains immortal qi. Of course. Everyone, this is a runic spirit mushroom. It's a spirit treasure found near the immortal gate. It's probably been around for close to 10,000 years. After absorbing the aura of the immortal gate, it finally contains a trace of immortal qi from a smaller world. It's definitely expensive. Everyone knows that if you want to obtain a treasure in the outer region, you have to pay a certain price. It wasn't easy for us to obtain this runic spirit mushroom, so the price is reasonable. 30 million undying pure essence pills. 30 million undying pure essence pills. There were dozens of people gathered in the center of the second floor. Suddenly, there was an uproar. What a strange runic spirit mushroom. Why does it look like a human head? Qian Huanyun and Su Fang came to the side to take a look. They were also attracted by the dazzling light. Although the light was sealed by a barrier, it still seeped out. There was a foot-tall runic spirit mushroom floating inside. It was black and had some white spots. Unlike ordinary runic spirit mushrooms, this runic spirit mushroom had some finger-long strands growing out of its crown. It was no different from a human head. It was very special. Qian Huanyun had never seen this kind of spirit treasure before. He looked at Su Fang, but he didn't get an answer. There were countless spirit treasures in the world. Even peerless experts couldn't recognize all of them. Aside from having a special high-grade spirit qi and a natural fusion power, it can't compare to the 10,000-year fire serpent fruit, fig fruit, or passion fruit. Su Fang didn't seem to have any expression, but he was thinking about the value of this runic spirit mushroom. This runic spirit mushroom had yet to reach 10,000 years old. If it reached 10,000 years old, it would be a true treasure. It would be worth far more than 30 million undying pure essence pills. This runic spirit mushroom was already considered a sky-high price for most people. Even most undying realm cultivators couldn't afford it. Can the price be lower? A few people suddenly came. They were obviously here for the runic spirit mushroom. True Spell Sacred Sect. When the surrounding cultivators saw these people, they all retreated. These men were disciples of the True Spell Sacred Sect, a big force in the Zhuotian domain. All of them were in the Undying Realm. Only one of them was in the Undying Realm. Greetings. These people were originally here for the runic spirit mushroom. When they saw Su Fang and Qian Huanyun, one of the men politely cupped his fist. They were disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect. The Celestial Sealing Sect and the True Spell Sacred Sect were separated by a vast meteorite. The two sects were also allies. Their disciples often interacted with each other. The two of them returned the greeting and quietly watched from the side. The price is negotiable. Please come to the room. The disciples of the True Spell Sacred Sect were rich. Everyone knew that the disciples of big forces were rich. It was as if they had seen the god of wealth. They were welcomed into the guest room behind the counter. Qian Huanyun secretly transmitted a message. I think that spiritual treasures are what every cultivator needs. Dharma treasures can enjoy the sect's resources and elixirs, but spiritual treasures can only be brewed in the world. You and I should go to the next place to take a look. When the experts of the true spell sacred sect come out later, we'll have to see their arrogant faces. After leaving, they chose a silver palace. It was 30 meters tall and majestic. When they entered, besides a large number of cultivators trading, there were all kinds of dazzling treasures. Although there were treasures, most of them were common. The two of them walked around and didn't find any treasure that attracted them. The Supreme God sect is too much. Su Fang, who was going downstairs to leave, suddenly heard a weak but vigorous roar with his great perfection ability. Supreme God sect, this made Su Fang's ears perk up. He carefully listened in the direction of the sound. It wasn't easy for me to establish a foothold here. I worked hard for hundreds of years to establish this chamber of commerce. The Supreme God sect actually wants us to join them. Lord, why don't we leave this place? We can't afford to offend the Supreme God sect. They have occupied the ruins of the Spirit sect for tens of thousands of years. Now they want to expand their influence in the extraterritorial lands. If we say no, we will be annihilated. There's no hurry. I have to meet the experts from all over. The Supreme God sect can come and go as they please. They will not agree. Do they think we are pushovers? When they arrived at the main hall, the voice disappeared. The Supreme God sect has expanded their influence here. He came back to his senses and went to the forest with Qian Huanyun. My treasures are all from the Xianjia Gate. They are all treasures that came out from there. Since when can treasures come out from the Xianjia Gate? Some vendors were selling their treasures to the cultivators who passed by. The cultivators who came here all knew that the so-called treasures were actually fake. They were using some rare and strange items to pass off as good ones. My treasures really came out from the Xianjia Gate. They met many more vendors. Among them, a middle-aged man was holding a half-foot-long black stone piece and was hawking it to the cultivators who passed by. Who cared about him? There was no bargain in this world. Buzz. However, Su Fang, who happened to pass by, suddenly heard a buzzing sound in his right arm. Purple Aura Dharma Spirit. Su Fang was very curious. He activated his Purple Aura Dharma Spirit and sensed that the aura was coming from the side. It turned out that it was the black stone piece in the vendor's hand. It looked ordinary, but it emitted a mysterious aura that the Purple Aura Dharma Spirit could sense. The Purple Aura Dharma Spirit can sense a real treasure. Could it be that stone piece? Su Fang turned around and shouted at the vendor. Why do you believe in such a thing? It must be an ordinary item. Qian Huanyun was very curious. However, when he saw that Su Fang was interested in the stone piece, he reminded him out of goodwill. I'm just curious about the outer realms. Don't they say that danger zones in the outer realms often have many mysteries? Shrugging, Su Fang took the stone piece from the vendor. When he touched it, he felt that it was very rough. It hadn't even been polished. Just based on that, he could tell that it wasn't a treasure. If it was a treasure, why hadn't it been polished? Any magic treasures, gems, or spirit stones were all carefully carved and polished. This really is a treasure that came out from the Xianjia Gate. 3 million pure undying essence pills is too cheap. Seeing Su Fang's curiosity, the vendor raised the price. He really wanted to sell this stone piece. Qian Huanyun swept his gaze over him. Do you think we don't know what a treasure is? A stone piece is a treasure? I think you've never seen a real treasure. The vendor was stunned. This woman wasn't someone he could offend. The two of you are disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect, the elites of a large power. You must have seen all kinds of treasures. However, this really is a treasure. I'm just a rogue cultivator, so I'm unable to explain its mysteries. Chapter 295. Su Fang smiled. It's too expensive. I'm only willing to pay 500,000 for 3 million pure undying origin pills. 500,000? How can this piece of stone be worth that much? 10,000 at most. Qian Huanyun acted like a woman, treating the stone piece as if it was worthless. It's not easy for him either. If you're thinking for him, then everyone here will be happy. Fine, fine. 500,000 it is. The combination of the two was really effective. The vendor was afraid that Qian Huanyun would really stop Su Fang from buying, so he clenched his teeth and nodded. One hand handed over the money, and the other hand handed over the good. The vendor received the pure yuan dan and left happily. Is it really a treasure? Qian Huanyun and Su Fang came to a secluded area and asked curiously. Su Fang shook his head and gave the stone piece to Qian Huanyun. I'm not sure. I just feel that this stone piece is a bit different, but I can't tell exactly what it is. Then you're really generous. That's enough to buy a mid-grade enchanted artifact. Which Undying Realm cultivator wouldn't feel heartache over 500,000 pure Undying Origin pills? You, on the other hand, gave it to someone else so casually. Take this stone. Qian Huanyun gave the black stone piece to Su Fang and continued walking to a nearby merchant house. Su Fang also couldn't tell exactly what treasure it was. He would have to wait until he had some free time to study it. They arrived at another merchant house, and Qian Huanyun quickly took a fancy to a golden core. There were over a dozen treasure boxes on the counter, and each box contained a golden core. The golden cores were sealed by seals so that their aura wouldn't dissipate. Su Fang came over and asked, "What do you want a golden core for?" Qian Huanyun frowned. To cultivate the art of puppetry, I use a golden core to cultivate the art of puppetry. That way, I won't have to use up any of my own energy. What do you think? Many Undying Realm experts cultivate puppetry this way. Furthermore, the golden core in the center contains 5 divine runes. 5 divine runes? There were indeed 5 very obvious and sturdy divine runes around the golden core. The 5 divine runes intertwined to form a defensive layer around the golden core. Unfortunately, I'm not a peerless expert. I've heard that those peerless experts can fuse with their golden cores and comprehend each divine rune contained within. I can't do that now, but I can do it in the future. Are the two of you interested in these golden cores? At this moment, an old man came to the counter and introduced, "The origins of these golden cores are not ordinary. Each golden core contains at least 3 kinds of divine mark. Many of them are experts from great powers, and they were experts who died outside the Xianjia Gate. Their corpses were discovered and their golden cores were taken out." Qian Huanyun asked about the price. A golden core of the indestructible 3rd stage actually cost 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. In the end, Qian Huanyun did not ask for the golden core. What are these corpses for? The two of them once more went up to another floor. There were several corpses within a seal. The old man introduced, "They're all cultivators who died in the Xianjia Gate. Don't look down on these cultivators. They're all imperishable realm cultivators, and many experts use them to refine puppets." Su Fang looked at Qian Huanyun and said, "Senior sister, why don't you buy a corpse and bring it back? It will be easier for you to refine puppets. Golden cores are filled with powerful energy and are difficult to refine, but corpses can be refined directly." Qian Huanyun asked and found that the price was not expensive. He also felt that Su Fang's idea was very suitable for her current state, so he spent the money to buy a corpse. Demon Core Flower. After buying the corpse, the two of them went to the central area, where they found many rare treasures. Su Fang was attracted to a flower that stood out from the rest. It was a peerless treasure that he had once encountered and possessed, a demon core flower. This demon core flower was also a type of immortal flower. However, it was even rarer than the immortal flower. It would only form on a big goblin's corpse. The problem was that it was very difficult to form a demon core flower after most big goblin corpses died. The demon core flower was even helpful to the Green Feather King. The Leech King had only been able to condense his human form after fusing with one. What is this? Qian Huanyun couldn't tell what the demon core flower was. The old man immediately came over to introduce it to Qian Huanyun. Qian Huanyun didn't expect Su Fang to know about such a rare treasure. If you want it, I can give you 10 million pure undying qi pills. If you sell it to a large merchant association, the price will be several times higher. A small merchant association like ours doesn't have much profit margin. Furthermore, demon core flowers are very rare. In the past 100 years, only 2 have appeared. This is one of them, and it was obtained by a young cultivator. Youngsters nowadays are really amazing. Those who can find demon core flowers are all in very dangerous places, and they don't fear demonic qi. Is it a very young, black-robed, cold person? Su Fang suddenly thought of someone. The old man was startled. Yes, it's that young man. I just happened to be doing business with him. Do you know him? It seems it really is Li Haojia. He could suppress demonic qi and obtain demon core flowers in dangerous places. Only a cultivator who didn't fear demonic qi or demons could obtain such a treasure. Adding on the fact that the old man had mentioned Li Haojia, Su Fang thought of Li Haojia. He hadn't expected it to really be him. Fine. This time, Su Fang had generously taken out 8 million medicinal pills. He hadn't even blinked. Even an undying qi expert would feel heartache. After all, this was a huge sum. If he added a bit more, he could buy a low-grade, high-grade enchanted item. Demon core flowers were high-grade enchanted items. Naturally, high-grade enchanted items were very important to cultivators. That senior just introduced the demon core flower. He said that ordinary righteous Dao cultivators are unable to refine it. Since cultivators are unable to fuse with the essence of the demonic Dao, it's not very useful to cultivators. Even if it's a treasure, it's not worth the price. Qian Huanyun was very puzzled. He couldn't understand why Su Fang would want to buy a treasure that cultivators were unable to fuse with. Rather than buying a useful magic treasure, spiritual item, and so on, why not just buy it? Su Fang said in a low voice, "Since it's a treasure, then let's keep it. I also want to go to the ruins of the spirit sect in the future and make a lot of money through the Supreme God sect. This is because the demon core flower is very valuable to the experts of the demon clan. It can be sold for more than 20 million. Is that so? It's that easy? Otherwise, why would I spend such a high price?" Su Fang nodded happily. The two of them continued to look at the other items. Other than magic treasures, there were also spiritual items. Suddenly, an undying flower that had reached the undying realm appeared in front of Su Fang. It also attracted Qian Huanyun's attention. This undying flower was sparkling and translucent. It was very attractive, especially to undying cultivators. This time, it was a treasure in the eyes of righteous Dao cultivators. This is an undying flower that has reached the undying 4th stage. The old man came again. This flower's price is very high. Costs 15 million undying pure essence pills. It's different from the demon core flowers from before. Any cultivator can fuse with this undying flower, especially undying cultivators. It can condense undying energy and give any undying 10th stage cultivator a great chance of advancing to the undying realm. 15 million undying pure essence pills. Qian Huanyun could only shake his head. He was only at the 2nd stage of the undying realm. Even if he took out the same amount of undying pure essence pills, it would still be a huge sum. "Since you like it, you might as well buy it," said Su Fang. But the price is too high. I can't take it out. How can undying cultivators like us have so many undying pure essence pills? If you want it, I can lend it to you for now. Once you become a disciple of the immortal seeking heaven, you can return it to me. Su Fang decisively took out an empty bag. Qian Huanyun was extremely embarrassed. How could that be? I don't know how long it'll take to advance to the immortal seeking heaven. With my current speed, it'll take at least 100 years. Even 100 years would be a miracle. She clearly meant that she would owe him a favor for 100 years, or even longer. Take it. Perhaps senior apprentice sister will be able to find another treasure in the Xianjia Gate. At that time, we can use treasures to exchange for it. Furthermore, I have enough pure essence pills. I don't lack this bit of resources. Let's leave this place first. I need to find a place to fuse with some bottleneck. Thanks. Qian Huanyun put away the undying flower. It was her guarantee of advancing to the undying realm. The two of them left the valley. Half an hour later, they found a mountain peak. Qian Huanyun hid a few hundred meters away and began to absorb the power of the undying flower. Su Fang secretly summoned Mo Fengjun and asked him to protect him in the dark. He took the opportunity to break through to the 6th stage of the longevity realm. Once again, he absorbed the remaining power from the Golden Sky Rune Talisman. Previously, he was about to break through at the Saber Light Mountain Dojo. Who knew that Qian Huanyun would bring Lu Wei and Lin Yining to find him? Thus, he was delayed for a few months. Bang! Just 3 days later. After this period of preparation and cultivation, a qi explosion exploded from Su Fang's body. He broke through. This movement caused Qian Huanyun, who was cultivating in the distance, to be shocked. A large amount of dust swirled around Su Fang. The impurities in the placenta surged out from Su Fang's skin. He then used the 100 acupoints finger technique to guide the power of advancement to attack his entire body. Everything was done naturally. During this process, Su Fang's divine perception separated into the heaven and earth. He came to Bai Ling's side, who was cultivating. Sister Bai, this demon core flower can help you cultivate. This is a good treasure. Bai Ling was like a little girl. She did not appear depressed because she was controlled by the Heaven Neck Spirit Ring. She was still as mischievous as before. After chatting with Bai Ling, Su Fang retracted his divine perception and continued to focus on his body's advancement. After the advancement, the dragon-taming wood and the fire god elephant inside the purple aura Dharma spirit were undergoing qualitative changes. The Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda, in particular, was further integrating with the purple aura Dharma spirit. Countless Dharma seals were being integrated into Su Fang's powerful primordial spirit. Any Dharma seals in the 6th-level space were incomparably clear. Su Fang could almost see with the naked eye that there were places outside the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda where the aura was not evenly distributed. For example, the aura of gold and silver, as well as the aura of the Xianwang stone and the primordial jade stone. This meant that the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda was still in an imperfect state. Junior brother, congratulations on breaking through again. You're at the 6th stage of the longevity realm, right? At this moment, Qian Huanyun congratulated him from a few hundred meters away. She hadn't casually come over. She knew that Su Fang was in an important stage of his breakthrough. Not long ago, I completed an important mission, and Heavenly Paradise Elder Jean Chongkong bestowed me with a Dharma awakening energy. That's why I was able to break through in such a short time. Without the runic talismans, I wouldn't have been able to break through in such a state. In any case, congratulations, and I have to thank you. Because of the immortal flower, my strength is constantly increasing. I estimate that I'll soon reach the 3rd stage of the immortal realm. My overall advancement speed will also increase. Then you have to work hard. If I complete a few more missions, I might be able to catch up to you. But after this training, we shouldn't move around too much. Why? I offended the Crown Prince faction. I also heard that you refused to be roped in by the Crown Prince faction. But that shouldn't have much of an effect. You're just worried that the Crown Prince faction will take revenge on you. Senior apprentice sister, I also don't want to implicate you. The Crown Prince faction and I are already irreconcilable. The Crown Prince faction will do everything in their power to get rid of me. Anyone related to me will also be implicated. You should know the Crown Prince faction's influence. Su Fang's tone was cold. He suddenly realized that if he got too close to Qian Huanyun, he would be harming her. Chapter 296. This trip to the outer realm was an opportunity for all the disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect. For Su Fang, it was a life and death challenge. Since he had come to the Outer Realm Islands, he had to be on guard against the Crown Prince Society. If he got too close to Qian Huanyun and the others, he would inadvertently drag them down. A few days later, his breakthrough was completed smoothly. However, his cultivation had yet to reach the 6th stage of the longevity stage. Not long after returning to the valley, Su Fang met up with Lu Wei and Lin Yining. He found an excuse and left alone. Lu Wei and Lin Yining didn't know the reason. Only Qian Huanyun knew. There are still a few markets where I can go to collect spiritual items. Who knows, there might be other gains. Flying on his sword, he passed through layers of mountains. After a few hours, he arrived at an underground market hidden on an isolated island. This isolated island was surrounded by undercurrents. Occasionally, there would be whirlpools, and underwater reefs could be seen moving along with the undercurrent. The outer realm was a dangerous place formed by natural forces. This was how a large continent was formed. The lone mountain was densely covered with forest. Many merchants were spread out under the forest. Some merchants even built wooden houses on the tree trunk. There weren't many cultivators, but there were people coming and going at all times. This time, he deliberately used his purple chi dharma spirit, hoping to sense treasures. However, he was disappointed. Even a high-grade dharma artifact couldn't cause the purple chi dharma spirit to react. He still managed to buy a dozen spiritual items. Most of them were plant-type spiritual treasures that could be used for cultivation or consumed. Golden cores, a total of 2. They're at least young nascent souls' golden cores. They contain 13 kinds of divine abilities. They're probably at the 8th or 10th stage of the young nascent soul realm. Ordinary people can't use golden cores of this level. Your 2 golden cores can't be compared to dharma treasures or spiritual items. Yes, 3 million indestructible pure essence pills is too expensive. If you don't want them, then don't haggle. I've already lowered the price from 7 million to 1 million. If you give them to a young nascent soul expert, you can get at least tens of millions. Under a large tree, an indestructible man in his 30s was hawking 2 golden cores. There were a dozen cultivators around him, but they were only discussing the golden cores. None of them wanted to spend money to buy the golden cores. The man was furious. It seemed that he had spent a lot of effort to obtain the golden cores, but in the end, he didn't get the expected return. What about the golden core? Su Fang happened to be passing by. He sensed the aura of the young nascent soul and was attracted by the golden cores. The 2 golden cores were indeed extraordinary. They should have been left behind by cultivators who had reached the peak of the young nascent soul realm. After waiting for a while, the cultivators dispersed. Su Fang walked in front of the man and asked, "Where did you get these 2 golden cores?" When the man heard this, he saw that it was a cultivator of the longevity realm. However, when he saw that Su Fang was a disciple of the Celestial Sealing sect, he immediately regained his spirit. "A while ago, I accidentally found it in a collapsed valley near the Xianjia Gate. The 2 of them should have fought and died together. 3 million undying pure essence pills isn't expensive. You know that I'm a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Gate. This kind of golden pill is very valuable. Do you have any other treasures?" "Well, I also got an empty bag there." It turns out that one of the 2 golden cores came from the Green Lotus Sword sect of the Wu-Tan world. There were a few divine abilities inside, but none of them came from the Green Lotus Sword sect. Of course, there was also a high-grade Dharma artifact. Unfortunately, I've already fused with it. If you can really afford it, I can give it to you. I don't want the Dharma treasure or the empty bag. I'll take these 2 golden cores. Here are 6 million undying pure essence pills. After asking for a while, Su Fong was slightly disappointed. He decisively bought the 2 golden cores. Green Lotus Sword Sect. One of the golden cores contained shocking sword qi as well as qi from outside the realm. It didn't belong to the Zhuotian world. It meant that it was a cultivator who had fallen from another world. So it was an expert from the Green Lotus Sword Sect. The sword qi was so strong. He thought it was the Broken Sword Sect, but it turned out to be the Green Lotus Sword Sect. He secretly sucked the 2 golden cores into the profound yellow space. Senior, I want to obtain the Green Lotus Sword Sect's sword qi technique. There are 13 divine abilities here. Senior should be able to draw out those 13 divine abilities by fusing with the golden cores. It seems your thoughts are already on the Green Lotus Sword Sect's divine image Jade Annulus. Green Feather King calmly opened his demon eye. He couldn't hide anything from Green Feather King. Since it's a Dao item, and one that can deduce divine abilities and divine abilities, Junior is naturally very curious. With the divine image Jade Annulus, the help it can bring to cultivation is unimaginable. Since the divine image Jade Annulus is in the Green Lotus Sword Sect, Junior can first grasp some of the Sword Sect's technique. Who knows, it might be useful in the future. Then wait a bit. You can also buy more golden cores to cultivate with this king. Golden cores are great treasures. You don't want them? It's not that Junior doesn't want them. It's just that I can't quickly refine them. Adding on the fact that I have enough cultivation resources, I don't need them. Withdrawing his divine sense, he waited for Green Feather King to devour the 2 golden cores and comprehend the sword qi technique of the Green Lotus Sword Sect. He entered another merchant association. This one seemed to be the largest in this underground market. It was 4 stories tall and hidden in a forest. When he arrived, he saw cultivators from all over. Su Fong's immortal sealing sect robes attracted a lot of attention. But when they saw that he was a longevity disciple, they didn't give him a second glance. Looks like this merchant association has quite the background. He swept his gaze over the first floor. There were all sorts of treasures, and some of them were quite good. This place felt like a proper merchant association in a major city. It contains the aura of the immortal sealing sect. On the second floor, he saw a flying sword. At first, he couldn't tell what it was, but upon closer inspection, he saw that it contained the aura of the immortal sealing sect. It should be a treasure left behind by a fallen immortal sealing sect disciple. It was only a middle-grade flying sword, and not a great treasure. At this time, Green Feather King sent him a message. Kid, this king has comprehended the 13 divine abilities of the Golden Core. There really is a sword qi technique called the Lotus Curve Sword Qi. It's a part of the Green Lotus Sword Sect's technique. Only young soul disciples can cultivate it. The other divine abilities aren't much. None of them are suitable for you. Lotus Curve Sword Qi. Su Fong began to absorb the thoughts and words that were transmitted to him. Soon, he had engraved the Lotus Curve Sword Qi deep into his mind. When he arrived on the 3rd floor, he saw many medicinal pills. What surprised him was that there was an aphrodisiac pill for sale in a corner. After asking, he learned that the Merchant Association had bought it from the Crimson Firmament continent. It was said that it was very popular on the Crimson Firmament continent, and its price was a third higher than in Grand Yuan City. Today's special treasure is a small demon tamed by a demon catcher. Everyone can buy it and cultivate it. Gradually, it will become a powerful demon beast. When he arrived on the 4th floor, he saw 100 people surrounding him. They were selling a white-furred demon monkey. It looked like it had just formed a golden core not long ago. The demon monkey didn't have much demon chi. There was a special rune inlaid on its neck. It suppressed the demon monkey so it didn't dare to go berserk. A demon catcher? Could it be Li Haojie again? In this outer realm, he should be the only demon catcher. Su Fang connected the spirit monkey to Li Haojie. Then he heard the price of the demon monkey. It was actually 30 million undying pure essence pills. That was enough to buy an ordinary high-grade Dharma artifact. Demon beasts tamed by demon catchers were very useful. They were similar to puppets. The only advantage was that they were alive. Cultivators could raise monster beasts in captivity, absorbing their essence and cultivating together. Gradually, they could turn the monster beasts into mounts or a means of attack. In the world of cultivators, raising monster beasts in captivity was very normal. Some great powers would even suppress powerful monster beasts and use them as a force to protect their Tao temples. Su Fang wasn't curious about this because he was a primordial chaos sage. He could raise as many demon beasts as he wanted, especially now that he had 6 commanders. So many undying flowers. The other counters were almost empty. Su Fang sensed a familiar aura and went to the counter to take a look. There were over a dozen undying flowers. They had reached the undying realm but had yet to reach the Yang Soul realm. Su Fang had come for these spiritual items. The undying flowers could be used for cultivation or alchemy. The benefits were indescribable. In the end, he spent a huge sum of money to buy those undying flowers. Su Fang was suddenly attracted by an item, causing him to be extremely surprised. It was actually the same black stone piece he had obtained before. It was slightly shorter, but its aura and material were the same. "What kind of treasure is this?" Su Fang asked the staff member. The staff member said, "I heard it came from the Xianjia Gate, but no one can prove it. It's also very cheap. 500,000 undying pure essence pills is yours." "So cheap?" Su Fang bought it and immediately left the Chamber of Commerce. After flying away, he found an uninhabited forest. He immediately entered the profound yellow space and brought the 2 black stone pieces to see the Green Feather King. "How did you get this thing?" The Green Feather King was surprised. "Senior, do you know about this treasure?" "Well, how should I describe it? It's called a treasure, but it's not really a treasure. Instead, it's said to be an ominous item. Yes, it's called the Zhenjiang Maxim. I heard that it was passed down from the Xianjia Gate. Rumor has it that you can enter the Xianjia Gate with this treasure. Facts have proven that you can do so, but no one who entered with this thing has ever come out alive. Is the true inauspicious? Of course it's inauspicious. This king also obtained this thing in the past. I heard there were quite a few of them, but he didn't dare take it. Later, everyone said it was an inauspicious item, and the legends were all false. It's also not a treasure. It's just that the material is very strange. It's very tough, and there's nothing special about it inside. Perhaps it really does have a secret, but you'll have to enter the Xianjia Gate to be able to prove it. But no one who took it in came out alive." The Green Feather King shook his head disdainfully. He had been deceived. Su Fang was still unwilling to give up. He took out the true chapter maxim from before and said, "But the purple Chi Dharma spirit can sense that this true chapter maxim contains a different aura. Otherwise, I wouldn't be interested in it. This is it." "Really?" Green Feather King was curious now. The purple Chi Law spirit was a magic treasure spirit vein. No one knew how it was born. Since it reacted to the true chapter's proverb, did it mean that there was some mystery behind it? However, after looking at it for a while and activating it with his true Chi, there was still no movement. Treasure? No way. Forget it, you should keep it for now. It's best if you don't have any ideas about it. Inauspicious items will always bring disaster. Green Feather King tossed it back to him. "Who?" Suddenly, Su Fang's divine sense moved and immediately disappeared from the mysterious yellow space. Under the forest, Su Fang immediately looked to the right. As he flew up, he heard some movement. That person really is the immortal Sealing Sex Fang Yu. He's on the Life Snatcher list. When he came to the underground market, I knew it was him. A disciple from the immortal sealing sect's longevity sect is worth 50 million undying pure essence pills. Hee, this time we've made a huge profit. It's enough to buy a high-grade enchanted item. Chapter 297. That's great. We found such a great opportunity. 50 million indestructible pure essence pills. In the depths of the forest, a few people were getting closer and whispering to each other. Life-seeking list. Perfected sovereigns heard the commotion and thought that some cultivators were passing by. It was fine if he just left, but he didn't expect that these people were here to kill him. I remember Supreme God Sect's bounty for my head was 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. How did it suddenly increase to 50 million indestructible pure essence pills? Back in Celestial Sealing Sect, Qian Huanyun had learned about the life-seeking list. There was indeed a bounty for him. Who asked him to ruin Supreme God Sect and twin Immortal Sect's plans in Heavenly Gourd Domain. But at that time, it was only 600,000 indestructible pure essence pills. Now it had increased by more than 10 times. It was too strange. 3 indestructible cultivators and 2 undying cultivators. He released dozens of formation runes and immediately covered the forest he was in. He used the 8 Origin Divine Elephant Formation and activated the formation in the forest. Whoosh, whoosh. The 5 figures flew directly into the forest. With a buzzing sound, the array was activated instantly, enveloping the 5 people inside the array. Not good. We've been ambushed. We have more people. Let's break the formation first. We can't mess up the formation. Someone must be killing us and robbing us. Inside the formation, the 5 cultivators were all panicking. Fortunately, there was strength in numbers. Each of them took out a middle-grade magic tool and activated a shocking mystic light from the magic tool, blasting it towards the barrier. Fire Crystal Golem, suppressing chalk. Su Fong appeared behind the 5 of them. With a palm strike, he summoned a fire crystal golem from the void of the formation. The fire crystal golem attacked with both palms. The 5 of them also noticed the commotion behind them and turned around to use their artifacts to defend. With a pring sound, dang dang, 5 magic treasures flew out of their hands and 5 cultivators were sent flying at the same time. In midair, 2 undying cultivators exploded, leaving behind only 3 undying experts who had lost their center of gravity. Whoosh! Su Fong leapt up, his 5 fingers carrying an astonishing suction force, grabbing at the 3 immortal powerhouses. Stop this person! Although the 3 of them were heavily injured and had lost their balance, they still took out runes. Great Heavenly Sword Chi! At this moment, the ruler deity step from the Celestial Sealing School was used, and a sword light struck the 3 rune talismans first. With a chi-chi sound, a large amount of blood mist flew out, and the 3 undying experts were once again heavily injured. Be obedient, suppressing chalk. Su Fong's palm struck out, and a demonic shadow vortex descended upon the heads of the 3 great experts. Not to mention dealing with the oppressive power of the 8 Origin Divine Elephant Formation, they could not even resist Su Fong's speed and aura. They were sucked into the true devil blood space. The 8 Origin Divine Elephant Formation disappeared at this time. 5 experts were killed so easily. For a 6th-level longevity realm cultivator, these were indeed 5 experts. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they were giant. The familiar life-demanding list appeared in Su Fong's hand. The 3 undying realm experts inside the true devil blood plate instantly collapsed. Su Fong planted a devil seal in them, and they obediently took out the life-demanding list. These 3 people originally specialized in assassinating cultivators on the life-demanding list. They had cooperated with the Supreme Deity sect several times to obtain the bounty. It's 50 million indestructible pure origin pills. That's enough to buy a high-grade artifact. My bounty is more than an indestructible cultivators. Looking at the list, his heart tightened. 50 million indestructible pure yuan pills was definitely not a small number. Ordinary loose cultivators could not take out such a sum. Only the indestructible geniuses of large factions would not take it out for casual spending. They would use it for cultivation. Suddenly, a sharp sword appeared in his heart. He was worried about the Tai Chok gang, and in this foreign land, there were countless cultivators who relied on killing to survive. A few hours later, he arrived at a new underground market. This underground market was very large. There were several mountain ranges where merchants gathered. There were at least 100,000 cultivators here. It was packed with people. The mountains, valleys, cliffs, and forests were all filled with cultivators. A third of the people were all different kinds of peddlers. They were all loose cultivators. If loose cultivators wanted to become cultivators, they needed resources. They had to rely on themselves to obtain resources, unlike the Chok clan and the disciples of large powers. These loose cultivators sold spirit herbs as small as spirit herbs, all kinds of gems, demon beast bones, and cultivator corpses. However, most of them were at the indestructible or indestructible realm. There were very few treasures that could reach the Yang Soul realm. They had been bought cheaply by cultivators or forcefully sold by merchants. If they were indestructible or indestructible cultivators, they could still find treasures. At least some mid-grade artifacts were of good quality. There were also some empty bags and illusion cloud rope. At this time, Su Fong entered a store. The market was not big, but the products were very complete. There were even rune talismans for sale. For example, everyone wanted to have a large amount of teleportation talismans. Pill cauldrons. It just so happens that I need to start collecting more pill cauldrons. In the future, there will be more and more slaves. I also need to prepare a large amount of aphrodisiac pills. He was attracted by a pill cauldron. The pill cauldron was an ordinary bronze with some silver engravings. It was a high-grade pill cauldron, but its quality was at the bottom of high-grade. Although the price was shocking, Su Fong still bought it. Right now, only high-grade pill cauldrons could increase the speed of refining pills and increase the quantity. After the transaction was completed, the other party said mysteriously, "Sir, you are an elite of the Immortal Sealing sect. I have a treasure here that you should like." "Is that so?" Su Fong was curious. The other party took out a treasure box. When he opened it, he saw a golden core. It was a Yang Soul Realm golden core. The golden core contained the Immortal Sealing sect's core, as well as a dozen divine engravings. It was a golden core that had come from a fallen expert of the Immortal Sealing sect. The other party said, "How is it?" "Sir, you are in the longevity realm. If you obtain this Yang Soul Realm golden core, you can slowly absorb it. It can help you cultivate the Immortal Sealing sect's 7 divine abilities. Look at these divine engravings. They should also contain the essence of the Immortal Sealing sect's divine abilities. Once you absorb them, they will help you master them even faster." Thinking about it, he said, "I can take it back and use it in the future. At the very least, I can give it away. It only costs 10 million pure indestructible essence pills." It seemed the other party had seen through Su Fong's thoughts. He was unable to reject a powerful golden core from the Immortal Sealing sect. With this golden core, he would have the foundation to establish himself in the Immortal Sealing sect. For example, an undying or indestructible disciple could use this golden core to curry favor with a Yang Soul Realm expert. Then he would be able to rest easy in the Immortal Sealing sect for the rest of his life. 10 million is too expensive. 6 million. If you want to sell it, then sell it. I'm in the longevity realm. Such a high-level golden core is useless to me. In fact, it will only bring me more trouble. Higher. That's the price. You should find another employer. Su Fong turned to leave. The other party clenched his teeth. Fine, fine. That's the price. We can't openly sell such a thing. I heard that a large number of the Immortal Sealing sect's disciples have come to train. I heard that your immortal sealing sect is holding a grand training event. I don't want to offend the immortal sealing sect because of this golden core. After completing the transaction and leaving, Su Fang smiled inwardly. You don't know that I have the ability to refine this golden core. It can help me raise my cultivation realm. Fellow disciple. Unexpectedly, a few people walked over and called out to Su Fang. It turned out to be 6 immortal sealing sect's disciples. They were all undying and indestructible existences. Senior brothers didn't know them, but he knew that they were experts from the Qingqing Dao sect and the spiritual Coffin Dao sect. He bowed politely and left with his head lowered. The immortal heaven disciples of the frozen moon grotto are quite tactful. They know the rules when they see us. He's just a longevity disciple. He thought he could make friends with elites like us. Don't underestimate the immortal realm disciples of the frozen moon grotto. Haven't they been talking about a longevity disciple who entered the high immortal heaven recently? It can't be this person. They chatted and laughed. In the end, in their eyes, Su Fang was just a passerby. After a period of time, not only did he meet the immortal sealing sect's disciples, but he also met female disciples from the Ziwei Star sect, the True Technique Sacred sect, the Broken Sword sect, and the Dual Immortal sect. Of course, he also met the Myriad Treasure sect's disciples from the Starfish Sky Island. The rules of this Chamber of Commerce are not bad. If we can find some rare treasures or treasures from the Green Lotus Sword sect, it would be good too. It was a huge Chamber of Commerce. Su Fang followed the crowd into the Chamber of Commerce. It was easy to see disciples of big factions here. Most of them were rogue cultivators. This time, he met a lot of immortal sealing sect's disciples. That's Fang Yu, that bitch. A few immortal sealing sect's disciples were leaving the Chamber of Commerce. One of them accidentally saw Su Fang in the crowd and couldn't help but feel angry. Brother Qing, what else do you want to buy? Everyone is empty-handed this time. The man was dragged out of the Chamber of Commerce. It turned out to be Sword Rider. The Immortal Jade sect is secretly looking for Fang Yu's whereabouts. I didn't expect to meet Fang Yu. I finally found a chance to get close to the Immortal Jade sect. Sword Rider bid farewell to them and left alone. Su Fang went to the highest floor. There were fewer people here, but there were still cultivators everywhere. They were all undead realm experts or young nascent realm experts. As soon as he arrived, he was attracted by a familiar aura. He immediately found it and saw a special artifact floating in a seal. Demonic artifact. It turned out to be a demonic artifact. All the demonic artifacts sold in the surrounding counters were demonic artifacts. However, this demonic artifact's aura was completely different. It was a high-tier magic artifact that had reached the peak grade. It looked like a black fan, but it turned out to be a fan sword. It was similar to Su Fang's Cold Wind Mysterious Ice Fan, and it was also a high-grade magic artifact. However, this demonic artifact's quality had already reached the peak, and it could become a king-grade magic artifact at any time. The demon worship sect's magic artifact should be this demonic chi, because its aura is too similar to the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo's aura. In the end, Su Fang asked for the price, but he still didn't buy it. The main reason was that the Supreme Demon King and Luan Mo already had magic artifact. It wouldn't be of much use to buy it. Outside the Chamber of Commerce, at this time, a dozen cultivators appeared. They all looked like rogue cultivators, but they emitted the cold arrogance of experts from big factions. The information can't be wrong. Fang Yu shouldn't have come out yet. There's a fellow disciple inside. Let's wait outside. These cultivators went to wait under a big tree. After a few hours, their gazes were fixed on the Chamber of Commerce's entrance. Su Fang was walking out of the Chamber of Commerce. It's indeed Fang Yu. Let's inform senior brother immediately. The dozen of them were full of killing intent. They stared at Su Fang as he walked in another direction. It should be the Tai Chalk Party's experts. Su Fong was being followed, but he didn't seem to notice the experts behind him. In fact, the moment he came out, he heard the experts' conversation. Just these imperishable realm experts can kill me. Each of them is hiding their identity. Since they're working for the Tai Chalk Party, they're all my enemies. Sensing everyone's strength, Su Fong flew out of the mountain. After flying over a few mountain ranges, he heard more than 20 cultivators flying over from 3 miles away. They were getting faster and faster. It seemed like they were going to attack him. Heavenly net sword net. He thought that they would find a place where there was no one before attacking. Little did he know that these Tai Chalk Party members would immediately launch a sneak attack. When they flew over, they threw out sword talismans one after another. Each sword talisman exceeded a cultivator's flying limit. In the blink of an eye, they shattered around Su Fong. Countless sword chi fell and suppressed Su Fong, completely enveloping him. Don't let your guard down. Form the formation. Suddenly, a middle-aged man flew over. Chapter 298. The sword chi of so many undying realm experts almost shattered my flesh fetus divine armor. The sword talisman's explosion produced a terrifying sword chi that covered Su Fong's surroundings. Fortunately, he had the flesh fetus divine armor to protect him. Otherwise, Su Fong would have been seriously injured this time. Whoosh! Using the wind and fire dual spirit swords, he forcibly used the flesh fetus divine armor and ruler's divine steps to create an opening. In an instant, he flew out of the opening and towards the forest ahead. As expected, a longevity disciple can actually escape from our encirclement. More than a dozen immortal sealing sect and Tai Chalk faction experts saw Su Fong escape before they could even form their sword formation. They were all shocked and immediately followed the strongest expert to give up on the formation and chase after him. According to our intelligence, this kid is very good at setting up formations because he has the Rainbow Soul Absorbing Bell and the Wind and Fire Dual Spirit swords bestowed by the upper echelons of Frozen Moon Grotto, which is also a high-grade Dharma treasure. I reckon he has more than one high-grade Dharma treasure in the 100-year Trial Mysterious Cave. Chase after him. If he escapes into the deeper world, it won't be easy for us to kill him. The strongest expert among them was a Yang Soul expert. With a command, he stepped on his flying sword with everyone else. His speed was even more shocking than Su Fong's. He definitely wouldn't let go of this opportunity to kill him. They were less than a kilometer away. Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps and the wind and fire dual spirit swords. His speed was already very shocking, reaching the peak of the Undying Realm. He was about the same height as an Undying Realm expert. I'm afraid I can't kill the Tai Chalk faction members before the trial. If I do, I'll definitely suffer the Tai Chalk faction's revenge during the trial. Once the trial is over, I won't have to fear Shui Tai Chalk faction. After all, this time, the disciples of the 3 great venerated sects are in charge. Originally, Su Fong wanted to find a place where no one was around and use a few Yang Soul slaves to kill the Tai Chalk faction members. However, considering that he would soon encounter Shui Tai Chalk faction, he thought about it and decided to endure it for now. Demonic Chi. At this moment, he flew out of a mountain range. Suddenly, he saw bursts of black smoke in front of him. This was the territory of Demonic Path expert. Su Fong smirked and said, "The extraterritorial grounds aren't the immortal sealing gate. This isn't the territory of the Tai Yaozi faction. Even a peerless expert like Tai Yaozi wouldn't be able to dominate this place." With a plan in mind, he continued to approach the demonic energy. Then, he concealed his aura and entered the forest where the demonic energy was released. He instantly heard dozens of breathing sounds. There were dozens of demonic Dao cultivators here. He quietly entered the depths of the forest, not letting any demonic Tao experts discover him. He took the opportunity to hide behind a large tree. Once again, he used his great perfection ability to sense. A group of experts from the Tai Yaozi faction suddenly attacked. However, when they arrived at the forest, they slowed down and didn't enter the forest in the end. They also felt the demonic qi and knew that this was the demonic path's territory. They didn't dare to offend a demonic path expert in such a place. The Su Fang took the opportunity to leave the forest. Let the Tai Yaozi party members wander around the forest. After leaving, he sped up and flew into the depths of the extraterritorial grounds. He would first go to the Flying Immortal Island to take a look. Along the way, he passed by some territories overseen by demonic Tao experts. Aside from the cultivators from other worlds, there were experts from both the demonic Tao and the demon race. There were also some tribes and clans. A few days later, he finally arrived at the central region of the extraterritorial island. He could clearly feel that the energy of this world was particularly complex. However, within that complexity, there was an astonishing amount of natural spiritual qi. It even surpassed the essence of the immortal sealing gate. Raising his head to look at the sky, he saw that spiritual qi was constantly condensed from spiritual qi, forming a sea of spiritual qi that constantly shot energy down to the ground, causing cultivators to go crazy. Although there was plenty of spiritual qi, the other natural energies contained a vast and icy aura. It was as if a cultivator absorbed them, their entire body would be frozen. This was the extraterritorial power of the extraterritorial ground. It didn't belong to the Zhuotian realm, but it was also a part of it. This was because the immortal sealing gate was a Tao artifact that had descended from a large world. It was also called an immortal artifact. The energy released by the Tao artifact had already changed the extraterritorial ground. Su Fang floated at the peak of the mountain. He communicated with Green Feather King with his spiritual sense. Senior, a Tao artifact can actually change a world. Green Feather King said, Tao artifacts are also divided into different grades. The immortal sealing gate was originally a peerless immortal artifact. When it descended, it should have brought along some material or energy from a large world. Only then could the countless islands fuse together and form a brand new continent. Unfortunately, this world's energy is abundant, but cultivators can't truly fuse it. The demon race and demonic Tao cultivators can't do it. Material from a large world presumably, even a blade of grass from a large world would be a supreme spirit treasure in this small world. Many experts from large powers have obtained materials from large worlds from the Xianjia Gate and used them to build their Tao temples. It's the same for the immortal sealing sect. It's a pity that mortals are unable to refine it. Those who can control large worlds' materials can dominate any small world and are on the same level as the overlords of small world. The Xianjia Gate is in the deepest part of the Xianjia Gate. You have to be even more careful here. Those who cultivate and snatch treasures in the deepest part of the Xianjia Gate are all extremely skilled. You might encounter Yang soul experts everywhere. Moreover, in this chalk central continent there are also some natural spaces that have formed. For example, underground caves, natural moats, and karst caves. Green Feather King carefully warned him, and sat down to continue cultivating. The power that had been suppressed for 10,000 years couldn't be recovered overnight. Flying forward, he saw some islands that hadn't perfectly fused together. Some rivers were surging with terrifying waves. When they entered the depths of the mountain range, they immediately saw a vast expanse of mountains and forests shrouded in spiritual fog. The world was filled with boundless white fog. Carefully sensing the surroundings, Su Fang found that the grass, flowers, and trees all contained a shocking amount of spiritual qi. Unexpectedly, he found a fruit tree. There were many fruits growing on the tree, and each fruit also contained a shocking amount of spiritual qi. It gave people the feeling that it was extraordinary. Picking one of the fruits and confirming it wasn't poisonous, he immediately swallowed it. The fruit melted in his mouth like a pill, and his entire body sank into an icy chill. Then, when the chill disappeared, he welcomed an incomparably comfortable feeling. It was equivalent to opening up many of his meridians. Although it didn't bring any power, it could open up the body. It was very useful when used in cultivation. Su Fang gathered these fruits. They could be used to refine pills in the future. After gathering more than half of it, a demonic wind came from behind the tree. It was accompanied by an indescribable sound. Looking closely, it was a finger-long red caterpillar. It was simply an army of caterpillars. These caterpillars all contained demonic qi. Could this tree be their food? Su Fang sensed hostility from the crawling speed of the caterpillar army. Qi. Unexpectedly, Su Fang, who was originally planning to leave, suddenly saw several caterpillars pounce at Su Fang like lightning, spitting out shocking amounts of poison. Courting death. With a palm strike, undying energy surged out. But his palm collided with the caterpillars. Su Fang and the caterpillars were both forced back, and the caterpillars were killed. However, Su Fang wasn't happy at all. Insects that eat fruits have undying energy. No wonder the outer realm is called the most dangerous place in the Zhuotian realm. Since he couldn't afford to provoke such an army of caterpillars, he jumped up and found that many of the trees behind him had been occupied by caterpillars. They were currently enjoying the ripe fruit. Just looking at it made him feel disgusted. Not far ahead was a majestic mountain. It must have been a huge island in the past, and there were many mountain peaks on the island. Su Fang had thought he was the only cultivator here. He didn't expect to hear quite a few voices as soon as he entered the mountain. There were hundreds of cultivators resting here. They came from all over the place. What Greenfeather King had said was correct. These were all undying experts, as well as some powerful Yang Soul experts. They were resting by themselves, not daring to approach. Su Fang sensed that these undying cultivators were all abnormally strong. It seemed they were all experts in higher realms. When Su Fang sat down and wanted to rest, a woman suddenly came to find him. Seeing her appearance, he felt a sense of déjà vu. He was startled. A female cultivator from the twin immortal sect. She was extremely powerful and should be close to the Yang Soul realm. Without any politeness, she took the initiative to walk over to Su Fang. What a handsome junior apprentice brother. Senior apprentice sister, do you need something? Su Fang didn't have a good impression of the twin immortal sect. The woman elegantly introduced herself. I am a disciple of the twin immortal sect, Yen Chan. I was just looking for a male cultivator to dual cultivate with. The first time I saw you, I noticed you had abundant yang energy. Unfortunately, you're only at the 6th heaven stage. Even if you're a disciple of the immortal sealing sect, the 6th heaven stage doesn't have any status, right? But I've never thought of dual cultivating with a woman to become an expert. Su Fang remained unmoved. So this disciple is someone with great ambitions. Big sister agrees with your way of thinking, but dual cultivation is also a way to become a powerhouse. Your celestial sealing sect has quite a few powerhouses who have dual cultivated with the women of my celestial sealing sect. They've all become powerhouses. Little brother must have come to this foreign land for the sake of strength. If you don't have strength, how can you obtain strength? Yen Chan didn't give up, baring her soft breasts. Don't you think big sister is right? Furthermore, you and I are using each other's strengths to make up for our weaknesses. You need my strength. I'm at the undying 10th layer, someone who can jump realms. My strength has reached the Yang Soul realm. Just think about how high you can rise if you absorb my essence. Su Fang bowed. Let me think about it. Once I've thought about it, I'll come find you. Little brother, don't make me wait too long. Moreover, there are many women from the twin immortal sect cultivating here. If you don't dual cultivate with me, don't let others benefit from your powerful yang energy. Yan Chan smiled and gently pressed on Su Fang's shoulder. Then she turned and left. This kind of evil dual cultivation technique is very harmful. Su Fang had grasped the opportunity to cleanse his marrow, but he didn't care about it. He naturally didn't care about dual cultivating with a woman. Every man wanted to dual cultivate with a woman from the twin immortal sect, but he disdained it. The next day, Su Fang immediately left the forest. After he left, 2 women suddenly tailed him in secret, and their speed was extremely fast. 2 young women appeared in the mist. The one on the left was only 16 or 17 years old. Biting her lip, she was extremely moving, but her gaze was conflicted. Senior apprentice sister, you really want to forcefully take care of that man? Junior apprentice sister, this is all your fault. I told you to take the initiative to dual cultivate with a man full of yang energy. But you didn't want to, so I had to step in. The woman on the right was the twin immortal sex expert from before. Yan Chan, we can ask the sex higher-ups for help and have them save Master. There's no need to do this, retorted the girl. Yan Chan was bone-chilling. If Master didn't treat you the best, I would have already taught you a lesson. Now that Master is heavily injured, she needs to gather yin energy to replenish her yang energy. How could I let go of a man full of yang energy? Chapter 299. Too little? Number? Ring? Desert Sistanch Kianglijan? How can you abolish the filth of the Lu family and lead them into the darkness of jealousy? Ichin nunnery is swollen? Peptide brand zhong shun, he demonic path. Yen Chan? Number? Was he trying to pry open Meng Yi's mouth? How could he be so enchanting? What the hell is going on? Swallow and Kyo? Badger routed? Shrug cut dark clear screen? Apologize for fainting? Pretentious and pretentious? Dr. Fu? Shrug off Omega burdens? Refute the riddle? Jean, I disagree. I'm a teacher? Hang Bei? Judge Bi Huang Meixiang? What? Omega block Hui Ding? Model? Is it appropriate to tailor a chair? Quietly and fiercely, you shrug and promise? Suru Ing? Huan Hujing? He Yong Xiong Mei Ding? Look at this. A stool? Hang Zhai Kai Ping? Is this the case? Quietly haggard? Fall into a trap? Yen Chan indicated that it was too little. Number? Zhao Yushi used her yang nascent soul aura to lift young master up. Number? Ran Chong rustled the locust tree. Ding. Burnt? Salt and pepper? Methanol? Crushing the stalks? Fan Guanghui? Resistance to capture. I thought it was Tai. Crane? Dry cart. I'll close my business for a while to play with the sedan chair? Omega Meng Pry? Piao Bing. After flying into the forest, Su Fang found that the 2 women were extremely fast. They flew over from above. One is at the indestructible 10th layer, and the other is only at the longevity realm. You want to kill me? You're too naive. Let's see what kind of ability your twin immortal sect has. Su Fang calmly shook his head and continued to fly forward. Ever since the twin immortal sect had cooperated with the Supreme God sect in the Heavenly Gourd domain and almost killed Xiao Mei'er and Qian Huanyun, Su Fang did not have a good impression of the twin immortal sect. Box ammonium blade? Hang phlegm to Pai Sang? Is it the type of qi that is rolled into a pit? Fading and calling? Navigation screen. Hua. In about 3 breaths. Has Su Fang just passed through a lush area? Good desert Sistanch Xing? Drama award Grey Bad Tiller Oriole? Bad news? Talk about sodium? Conflict? Grasshopper daughter Wei? Bu Huan? Monkey collapse? Cormorant Miki Ling Huang Wei Tan Zhua Puzhen. This is the strength of the Yang infant realm? It can be suppressed in an instant? Raccoon Valley Wei Huan Zhern Huang Wei Jun Puff. It seems to be forbidden? Monkey Wave Rolling Sword? Liao Hui? Wei Shan? Wei Kai? Shanju? Pu Chang Meng Jiaoji? Sword? Bad old Madame Yen Feng? Attack. The aura of the young infant realm was terrifying to the extreme. If there were no servants, magic treasures, and flesh fetus divine armor, Su Fang would be an ant. Elder sister said she would come to find you, so she will come to find you. Yen Chan brought that young master? Number? Ingji Zhang Fanli? You want to win the award? Wei, Jiechi? Fu Huan Dong. Su Fang stared at Yen Chan, then looked at the young master next to her who was inexperienced. Number? Hai Ba. Fu Huan? Lu E Star Shell Replica. Since you've fallen into my hands, you naturally have to listen to me. Come with me. Be obedient and I won't let you suffer. Yen Chan directly stopped above, her hands forming a seal. The layer of qi that enveloped Su Fang began to transform, turning into a seal to completely suppress Su Fang. Raccoon Ridge. At this moment, Su Fang suddenly struck the qi layer with his palm. Yen Chan shook her head coldly and arrogantly. You, the younger brother of Changxing? Suru Ing? Material Jiping? Saruji Rumble. Who would have thought that when Su Fang's palm hit the qi layer would explode under the force of his palm? Hector? Gatha Pupa. 1 second, he was laughing very proudly, but the next second, he was in disbelief. Yen Chan was shocked? Sorry, but if you want to kill me, then I won't be polite to you either. Su Fang's aura was terrifying because he was borrowing his servant's power. Humph. Yen Chan didn't believe in a Changxing younger brother? He Yu Qian? Howling Coffin asks the sea. Guangua? Number? Huang Huan's coffin. Skeletal fence? Hang Bei? Trick? Get out of my way. Young Master General? Number? Oriole? Tan Jiao Huai? Mountain hashtag? Are you looking forward to it? Say Nailer F? Bin? A certain frequency in the spine? Rumbling of rolling hinges. The five-colored sword qi was driven by the flying sword in Yen Chan's hand. Was this a high-grade technique? Hao Zhu? Do you want to split the test to overturn the chaos and steal carries? Playing with cormorants? Couch hashtag? Qin Manchuan Mountain 1 Soul Beach Lame? Jiao Ji of the Jing family was knocking on the immortal sword? Bastard F? Scolding? Song Yao style F? Layer after layer of sword qi rolled up like countless sword qi petals falling down. I'd like to see you, the immortal sealing school's longevity brother. Suru Ing? Lai Wei Ming Hua Biao Beach? Qi? Brother Hui? Ayai Xian Gu Di. It's true that I'm no match for you, but not die. Is it rare to see EEEXIN by Neon Nephew in danger? F*******. Su Fang was also exceptionally murderous. His opponent had the strength of a young infant, and this was no joke. Although she was a woman, she had the strength to take his life. The moment he absorbed the power of the slave, he activated the great overarching heavenly sword qi. Xiao. A stretch of sword light soared into the sky, clashing with the five-colored sword qi. The great overarching heavenly sword qi clearly held the upper hand, shattering layer after layer of five-colored sword qi. Moreover, it was moving faster and faster. Yen Chan urged the flying sword with all his strength and pressed down on the vibrating flying sword with both hands. Urging a high-grade method? Vast and mighty? Wu you. You're like an amaranth flower? Suruing. To impede how persistent was Yen Chan's forehead? Hang Wei? Chokgu? Teacher? So confused? Do you want to talk to me? Guangua? Number? Hantek my teacher? Hang Bei? Qiao Yiqian, and Qiao Yiqian? Number? Common cover frame. What kind of logic is this? When Su Fang heard this, he was overjoyed. Why? How was it the same? Good shifting words? Good you? Bad you? Conflicting words? Huang you? Good you? 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 Miserable? You? 2-inch Zhongruyun, I'm going to die from anger. Yen Chan was unable to restrain his anger and grabbed a few runes. Thunder Heart runes. Chi. The runes descended and instantly shattered. Waves of silver lightning turned into silver lightning sword Chi. Its power was too shocking, enough to kill any bummy brother? Yu Jun, shatter. Once again absorbing the power of the slave, the surrounding great overarching heavenly sword Chi shook violently. Countless sword rays shattered the falling silver lightning sword Chi. Pooh! Yen Chan, who was pressing down on the flying sword, was also shocked to the point of spitting out blood. Shocked? Hantek UUF? Pounce? Heppen UUF? G can't hurt my teacher? Hang Kuyung Master Zhang Royun not far away? Number? Why you Yuesu Fong Gaze Young Master? You? Jasect? You? Angle you? You? Grand? You June? You? You? Huan you? Play? You? Pen value copy, that won't do. Zhang Ruoyun was very decisive this time and pounced towards the great overarching heavenly sword Qi. This made Su Fang suddenly feel that it was too little? Number? Steep? Conflicting words? You? Number? Huang Chuan you? You? And Huan you? You? Yuan Mu Tudong Luo saw you previously. She gave people the feeling that she was submissive in front of Yen Chan, but in fact, she was a very courageous girl who cared about her friend. Treasure Protect Master. A jade bracelet appeared on Zhang Ruyun's right hand. It was not an ordinary jade bracelet. You 3? You? Goopring the jade light collided with the great overarching heaven sword Qi. Unexpectedly, the great overarching heaven sword Qi's aura was shaved off by quite a bit. However, Su Fang's aura trembled once more, and the Daluo heavenly sword Qi completely shattered the jade light. Is that so? Cormorant Trade? Li Luo? Kappa? Sodium Tiller? Is identical to Hum? Pan Jingjian, Oyster Spoon. As soon as he used the heavenly steps, Su Fang suddenly pressed his palm on Yen Chan's head, and Yen Chan could only tremble slightly. Wei Lan Manju Yao? Is Vertigo Mina playing? Eternal Blemish Huan Li Qian, Mei Rubber Meng Lu. Don't kill your master? Hang Gu, Qing Lin, Shao Song, Xiaji? Barium Ether Shio Decoction Condoler Falcon Base. Don't come any closer. I won't kill him. I don't want to accidentally injure you. Su Fang waved his hand. Number? Ren suddenly cuffed. Zhang Ruoyun begged, please, don't kill my master. Yen Chan shouted angrily, I said you're useless, so you're useless. What are you begging for? Kill me if you have the ability. I don't mind killing a woman, but I have many ways to deal with you. For example, I lack slaves, so I can refine you into a slave or a puppet. This way, I can use you at will. How about that? Su Fang shouted indifferently, your dual immortal sect likes to capture other female cultivators and cooperate with the Supreme God sect. Then, I'll sell you to the Supreme God sect. How about that? This is your fate. If I want you to die, you can't die. You. Yen Chan was really scared. Is everyone's life worse than death? Raccoon Dog. Zhang Ruoyun put away the jade bracelet and came to Su Fang and Yen Chan. Raccoon Dog? Slow and corrupt Pan Bian Jiao Mei Ji. Delta Bai? Jiao? Siren I Qian Neon Omega Fu? Omega Vice Locust Tax Deng Bei? Asphyxia Ji. School? I Qin Shi Huang Qiao? Song Bian? Xian? Qiao Yao Meng Ji. Box Fu? Yumin Ji. Li? Huan Li Kuo Ren Omega Li Master? How? Hu Lu? Meng Liang's Ferocious Long Biao, Julong Biao, Qiaoing Huangzhan Jiao? Puyu Quan? Raccoon Ridge, it's true. We followed Master to the extraterritorial lands to gain experience, But in the end, we were ambushed. We had no other choice. Was the Voyager playing a trick? What? Daring to speak out? Hong Ta? A box of alfalfa? Was it because of Huan Zhuangzhang's betrayal of Min Yu and the danger of Zhuang Zhuang in the nunnery? Get up! Su Fang nodded at Zhang Ruoyun. Promise me that you won't kill my master? Hengu jie qing yang 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 yang, Mei Ku, I'm not a man who kills women. Su Fang finally nodded. He really couldn't stand the sight of a young girl? Number? Jiao Mi made an appointment with Ba? How? What? He Zhenpeng. Su Fang flicked his finger, and a huge force shook Yen Chan so much that she sat down weakly. Raccoon peptone? Rhyme exhaustion. Yen Chan recovered a little and stood up reluctantly. Zhang Ruoyun helped her up, and she glanced at Su Fang. You have such good intentions. You have to thank your master? How? Huang? Vexed, scolded Mei Na Ping Shui? Qin Ran Huayu? By Shua? He. Su Fang turned around and walked towards the sky, urging his aura to leave. I'll remember you. Yen Chan shouted unwillingly. Can you come with us? You just need to send some pure yang energy to my master, and he will be able to escape. Zhang Ruoyun suddenly walked out anxiously, and looked at Su Fang with a fluorescent light. Master? How by show you quan pu yu quan mu? Jiao jiao? Si yu quan I Qin Ran Huai Mang? Mu exing shi. GC Yao. Zhang Ruoyun said resolutely, but how are we going to help Master get out of this predicament? We're just going to watch the big goblin and the demon Dao experts kill Master. Fine. Because of your filial piety, I'll go with you. I'll do my best to help. At this moment, Su Fang unexpectedly turned around and agreed. Yen Chan and Zhang Ruoyun were both surprised and delighted. They never expected that a person they had no connections with would generously lend a helping hand in such a situation. My master is trapped beneath the solitary Sword Gorge, which is dozens of kilometers away from here. The interior of the solitary Sword Gorge is shockingly spacious, and is occupied by some members of the Tao of Devils, or even the Big Goblin. There are many natural treasures inside, and one of them is a spirit spring. Shake the heavens? Aluminum alloy? Millipods? Fade away? Shua shua shua? Gray and dazzling sulfuric ammonia bojuju? Omega dong now? Overturning a peddler? Howang was speechless. Sweat? Tragic product? Yihuan? Trample on animals? Wei Long? Hang Yu Tong Ji. The two girls immediately took Su Fang and flew into the sky. Zhang Ruoyun was explaining the cause and effect of the matter to Su Fang. Chapter 300. So it's land? Made of aluminum? Conifat sled do e mei mu xian. Just a few dozen breaths, they entered a spiral-shaped white fog sky. In the depths, a ravine suddenly appeared, like a giant sword lying horizontally on the ground. Solitary Sword Valley. Landing a few steps on the ground, they arrived at the edge of the ravine's cliff. In front of them was a bottomless ravine. Waves of fog surged from time to time, shaking the ground. That cowardly structure choke? Master brother? Crane worried. Hurry Huan Ling throw rough? Omega low tooth bow? Exhausted blanket? Search the ground? Marking the beach? Raging gadolinium weary? Head Ping Yang. Zhang Ruoyun waited anxiously on the side, afraid that there would be no response from the other side of the token. After 3 breaths, the token buzzed. Master is using a magic weapon to protect myself. I'm trapped in a cave near the spring? Raccoon dog? School? Wulan Ji Fu? Wulan Ji Huai Sang? Jin? Qi? Zhan? E? Trouble? Warning AI. Dust? Omega Do Mu fades quietly. Wulan Ji Zheng? Wulan Ji Fu? Dead model? For Wulan Ji Zheng? Soil blowing hibiscus? Pouring water? E steals tritium pa. Few young women responded in a low voice on the other side. Knowing the situation below, The two women and Su Fang leaped down and carefully approached the bottom of the ravine. 1,000 feet below was another world. Is it a wide land? Made of aluminum? Asking Ji Fu to drunkenly incite warblers to collapse? Swarm over? Zheng? Pai Dong Pai? Lu Yi? Chanting Weft Yarn leaning on the lamp, blowing twilight feeding Yan Chan led the way in front, while Zhang Ruoyun and Su Fang followed closely behind. Pass through this land? Made of aluminum swollen cherry blossoms? Amine prize dust bad work return 1 Minister Gu? Rhizoma mushroom was it a land? Harmonized hinge? Drag. Langji Guichen Gu crossing over this mountain range, they flew to the right. The mountain range had many mountain peaks of different shapes, completely leaving this mountain range. Below them was a waterfall that had disappeared. Another 1,000 feet down, it formed a deep pit. From the deep pit there was an extraordinary spiritual chi. The spirit spring is right below. I heard that it's 1,000 years old? Heh, so it's yellow? He lying? Do you want to kill people on the banks and live in fear? Is it a flat piece of sodium stained ground? Secret whispering medicine? Wei, shi. Yen luo yu gua lin li wei, chao wan yu gua lin li wei, chao wan yu gua hua? Hexagrams? Slaying the hibiscus? Yan Chan introduced it to Su Fang. The three of them made their preparations and decisively approached the earth abyss below. Su Fang also secretly used the Great Circle? How? Kappa? Apricot Phi hexagram you dad chi bafu school? Swallowed by magnesium? Hexagrams? Plunder and unload? Mental illness? The emperor choked? Trick? Omega Meng Qiao? Clang. Scraping the bolts and Fan Xiao to death. Probably because of the spirit spring, the earth abyss had spiritual chi spurting out like steam at all times? Hagen? Beached delicacy tube nanami? Hammer dipped in rice buck stirred hibiscus? Hagen? Neon idiot? Hibiscus? Emperor scabbard pen clumsy charcoal pool thistle grass? Shaking Zhuanji? Whispering flattery double danger? Clapping pyrene? Shaking discord caustic grass? Spiritual water was brewed from the essence of the earth's core. Naturally, it wasn't always there. Human cultivators needed spiritual water for cultivation and alchemy. Finally, they arrived at the earth abyss. It seemed like the earth abyss was a well, but in fact, ahead of them was an astonishing river channel. About a few li ahead, an astonishing white mist was rising. Around the white mist, the magic weapon Xian Guang flickered from time to time. The spirit spring was clearly below the white mist. Hajuan? Walking empty air? Banishing Song Bagua? After staring at it for a moment, Yen Chan's command tablet moved again. Master said that we only have 2 methods. Let Master? Good me Yushing filter? Box alfalfa? Meng? Good matchmaker? Alpha look? Radon Huan? Wu? Huan AI Yushing? Xing Jiu Yu? Ling Chun Lu? Leech? Omega cover Mei Yu Meng O cover? Little. Only these 2 methods? Zhang Ruoyun asked awkwardly. We must go in. Either we bring our strength in or all 3 of us go in. But Master doesn't want anyone to put themselves in danger for her. Hearing this, Zhang Ruoyun's cheeks instantly flushed red. Yan Chan's words were very obvious. Su Fang had already helped a lot by coming here. Did they still want him to risk his life to enter the trap place? Once he entered, there would be constant danger of life and death. Then, there was only one method. Let Zhang Ruoyun and Su Fang be together? Box alfalfa? Surging sparkling ticket EXIN vinegar luck rolling down difficult? Serving as a warning? Radon Huan? Wu? Yu? Rolling suburban window building? Ji Xiaoyun? Ji? Forgive Yan Chan's words were sincere and heartfelt. Show Master? Hang Xian? Weary skeleton fence? Good confusion? Yiqiao? Xiao EXIN Yun? Box Shi? Yu? XIN? Box EXIN Emperor scabbard cooking? Say nu bai? Huang Wu XIN? Shu? Hang Xian? Exin Yun? Ren Omega Fu? Ying Dai Pai? Huang Huang Wu Wan Ju Fong Di Shi Shith? Hangda? Bak Shi Shi? Huang Wu Huan? Waving Heart Mo Exin Yun? Huang Wu Huan? Yes. Zhang Ruoyun lowered her head in shame and agreed. I don't think this method will work. Let's find another way. However, to Yan Chan's surprise, Su Fong actually rejected it. He immediately shouted angrily. Can't wait to eat? Drink Hai Ao Xian Exin Yun? Good door Huang Xia Exin Yun? Exin Yun? You? Exin Yun? Bak Shi Shi? Huang Wu Huan? Dan? Exin Xiaobei? Good old Wu Huan? Number? Miao? Sun Lan Gu Xian Xia Exin Xiao? Lan Ru Xiong Yu Exin Yun? Good alliance? Box Shi 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 Shi? Ku Exin Yun? Shi 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 Master? Hang Huang Wu Huan Yen Jie Chun Pu Huan? How do by Exin Yun? Yo. He felt that he had become an evil person. That's not what I meant. You've misunderstood. I don't mean to dislike Fairy Zhang either. I just feel that there's no need for a double. Exin Yun, you have Yang Qi. There are only two ways. Do you want to go in personally? Yan Chan felt that she had really misunderstood Su Fong. She suppressed her anger. Brown Beer Su Fong said, There's no harm in going in. I'm not someone who's afraid of death. Moreover, I've never been to the extraterritorial lands. I want to experience more to strengthen myself. Gongwan? Yiqian Yun? Thank you. Yan Chan and Zhang Ruoyun were extremely grateful. The three of them approached the rising spiritual fog in front of them. Soon, they heard all kinds of collisions and explosive sound. Around the spiritual fog, there were more than 20 experts fighting each other around a steaming space. When they got closer, they could clearly see that below the steaming spiritual fog was an abyss. It should have been a small lake in the past, and the spiritual spring should be below it. Master is already prepared. The demonic Tao experts and some experts are fighting over the spiritual spring. They don't have time to attack Master. We can take this opportunity to go down. Yan Chan urged her consciousness to secretly communicate with the trapped expert. At this time, Zhang Ruoyun was not very afraid. She was just very nervous. Su Fong, on the other hand, was calm and composed. After taking a deep breath, the three of them flew out of the darkness on their flying swords. They suddenly saw Undying Realm and Yang Nascent Realm experts fighting in different directions. It was too shocking. What? Sweat Trench Mother Core? Fortunately, those experts were unable to free themselves. They did not know who the three of them were going to attack, so they did not stop them in time. The three of them flew to the front of the surging spiritual fog at their fastest speed and jumped down to the source of the spiritual fog below. There was indeed a spring 10 feet below. The silver spiritual water seemed to be boiling, and the steam formed by the boiling was actually the spiritual water being absorbed by the experts above. The twin immortal sex reinforcements. A sinister sneer came from above. Whoosh! The three of them arrived at a depth of 15 feet. There were several caves around them. Here. Suddenly surging from the right? Shaking elegant jade? One? Evil billowing jade? Huan Jingjiu? Mujie? Master. The two women could not wait to bring Su Fong to the cave where the spiritual light came from. They flashed into the barrier and immediately arrived at a small karst cave. In Raccoon Wei Ing Yu Fong? Wei Ing Mu Chang? Wei Ching Xian? Ping Huang Huang? Wei Ing? And Yen Ji Fai? Ing beside the woman stood two lifeless men. Puppet. The two puppets. Master, are you okay? Ruoyun and Master. Hang Yu Fong Ing? Omega floating closed, surging clear broken lawsuit bright heart? Ing? Tan Bu Ing? First. Su Fong did not rashly approach, but secretly sized them up. The two puppets are both at the low Yang nascent realm. It seems that Zhang Ruoyun's master's cultivation has reached the high yang nascent realm. He is also a high-level expert in the twin immortal sect. Master is lucky to have these two puppets to protect me. That's why I was able to block the attacks of the devil path expert. Fortunately, I encountered the spiritual spring, Hajuan, Huang. Comparing the value of the heart with that of the heart, the middle-aged woman said happily. Then, her gaze fell on Su Fang. She was shocked and praised. What a young man! Meet? Was he too playing a dirty trick in the blink of an eye? Kengshi? You, Junior, is a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect? Suru Ing? Wan Wei Xiao Yuan Jian Colonel's ammoniac disease. By Wei Xiao Yuan Jian burn dermis disease? Barge? The woman said, You're a straightforward person. You just need to release some pure yang energy for me to absorb. I'll need about a third of your yang energy. You have to understand that this will have a huge impact on you. Tiao Mao Zhong? Yan Qi Huang Wei Chen Yang, since you're here, I have to help you. Su Fang nodded and saw that Yan Chan and Zhang Ruoyun's eyes were filled with gratitude. Whoosh, with a flick of his finger, Su Fang turned him into meat. Lotus blanket? Naive? Headscarf Shunyan? Leeches? Mei Shang Mei? Huang Chang betrayed him? Cigar me Q? Luck? You wexing exuberant ba. Of course, he couldn't casually use the power of the Nine Suns and let it be absorbed by others. If he did that, it would be equivalent to letting others control his aura. Once the yang energy was released, Yan Chan and Zhang Ruoyun were even more grateful. They didn't expect Su Fang to be so decisive. Buzz, after absorbing Su Fang's yang energy, the middle-aged woman's tired expression shook. Body? Hajuan? Rancid? Has Hanuo? Mu Emu. After half a day, the middle-aged woman's condition became better and better. She looked at Su Fang. Our twin immortal sect? Bogan? Lei? Badmi Mi Qian Hg Yen Chi Xin? Gather? Ken Xing? Sweat? Bogan? Hot Hang? Bogan Huizhong Muli? Bogan Huizhong Muli? Bogan Huizhong Muli? Huizhong Huan Lu Muli? Zhang Ji Yen Chi? Huizhong? Bogan Huizhong Ruoyun. In the future, find a chance to interact with this young man. She reminded Zhang Ruoyun. Yes, Zhang Ruoyun replied embarrassedly. In fact, Su Fang came here for several reasons. First, he wanted to help people. Second, he wanted to obtain the spiritual water. Third, he wanted to suppress Lohang Emoli, Lung, Ting, for 3 whole days. I've recovered 7 levels. The yang energy disappeared. Su Fang suppressed his aura? Brown band endurance? Bao? Lohang Qi? Lohang Xinu? Ing? Bo Luan Ji Poksam? Based on? Playing. Ru Tan Xian Qi? Wei Liang, as expected of a high-level yang nascent soul cultivator. This is a small token of appreciation from me as an elder. She took out an empty bag. There are 10 million longevity pure yuan pills and a few middle-grade treasures. Su Fang refused. I have never thought of returning the favor. Since Senior has almost recovered, let's think of a way to leave this place, or take the opportunity to collect some spiritual water. It won't be easy to obtain the spiritual water now. We have to escape from Solitary Sword Valley. There is a very powerful big goblin here. Together with a small group of demon Dao experts and loose cultivators, we can't deal with them. Especially Wang Wenchun, who attacked me from behind. In order to obtain the spiritual water, he will do anything. Master, isn't Wang Wenchun your old friend? It's because he is an old friend that I let my guard down and was seriously injured by him. He wants to steal the treasures I have collected in my life. I will settle the score with him in the future. The middle-aged woman stood up and put away the urn. Seeing that Su Fang didn't want the empty bag, she didn't force him. Chapter 301. The Su Fang did not care who Wang Wenchun was. They had already helped him, so it was time to leave. Yan Chan and Zhang Ruoyun followed the middle-aged woman out of the cave. Suddenly, a corpse fell from above and turned into white bones the moment it fell into the spirit spring. It was a Yang Soul Realm corpse. Could the spirit spring's spirit water be so terrifying? The middle-aged woman was also shocked. When the spirit spring erupts, it will produce a high temperature that can melt mid-grade magic artifact. It can seriously injure any Yang Soul Realm expert. This kind of spirit water can only be collected from above. Haha, the little girl from the twin immortal sect still wants to come out. The four took the chance to fly up. Just as they were about to fly out, several demonic figures attacked them. Puppets. The middle-aged woman was worthy of being called an expert of the twin immortal sect. The demonic figures around her were all Yang Soul Realm expert. 2 more puppets appeared from her body. Bang bang bang. This was equivalent to having 2 Yang Soul Realm experts as helpers. Adding on the middle-aged woman's strength, she flashed towards the demonic figures in front of her and retreated in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. You want the old one. We want the 2 young ones as slaves. Haha, the twin immortal sect's dual cultivation technique is profound and unfathomable. It will be of great help to us demonic cultivators. Then it's settled. I like the older ones. The older they are, the more interesting they are. Several more demonic cultivators charged over and surrounded them. Frigid Jade Sword Chi. The middle-aged woman protected the 3 of them and took out a flying sword. It was a pretty good high-grade magic artifact that emitted frigid chi. With the help of the 2 Yang Soul Realm puppets, she activated the flying sword together. This old one's strength is pretty good. A Yang Soul Realm expert can control 2 Yang Soul Realm puppet. It's not easy for ordinary cultivators to control 1 puppet. She's probably using a dual cultivation technique to control 2 Yang Soul Realm puppets. Be careful, her frigid jade sword is blocking us. The Devil Dao experts surrounded them, but under the control of the middle-aged woman's flying sword and the combined power of the 2 Yang Soul puppets, a peerlessly exquisite sword chi immediately burst forth. The sword chi burst forth like a large amount of sword chi formed from jade. She must have fused an earth-type divine ability. The frigid jade sword chi turned into a divine ability and formed a 30-meter sword domain that blocked the demonic cultivators from entering. Devil Bone Handprint. If he wanted to leave like this, the demonic path masters naturally wouldn't give up. They joined forces and floated outside the sword domain. Endless amounts of black smoke appeared, instantly turning into palm prints that filled the skies. Demonic energy skeletons suddenly formed, pressing down on the sword domain. Damn it! The sword domain was unable to rise any further, and its aura was disappearing continuously. The middle-aged woman was suppressed to the point that she could not breathe. While she was furious, there was nothing she could do. Junior sister, help master! Only then did Yan Chan and Zhang Ruoyun, who were being protected, react. In this kind of dangerous illusion, they couldn't always live under their master's protection. The 2 women summoned their magic treasures, which were also 2 flying swords. The swords trembled and the spirit patterns flashed. The flying swords seemed to come alive, and then they exploded with astonishing sword chi. Ruoyun. The middle-aged woman suddenly stared at Zhang Ruoyun, an ordinary longevity level 1 cultivator. Master needs your special power to support me. Ruoyun, release it now. Su Fang was about to attack and kill his way out of this place, but he didn't understand why the powerful middle-aged woman was so interested in Zhang Ruoyun. Although Zhang Ruoyun's strength was astonishing, and she had undying strength at longevity level 1, it was still impossible for her to fight against a Yang Soul Realm powerhouse at this time. But he was wrong. Zhang Ruoyun clasped her hands together, and a violent force gushed out from between her eyebrows. It was as if it wanted to tear any matter and even the air apart. This kind of aura gave people the feeling of a heavenly tribulation sweeping through the world. How can she be longevity level 1? How can she have such power? Su Fong was shocked, as if he didn't know Zhang Ruoyun at all. Was she still the timid girl from before? Yan Chan retreated and didn't disturb the middle-aged woman and Zhang Run. When she saw Su Fongda, she was shocked and curious. You don't have to be so shocked, because junior sister was born with power that ordinary people can't imagine. I remember that day was the second heaven and earth anomaly, and the third sun had just risen. Master and I passed by a city, and a big goblin swept through the city. Almost all the humans were slaughtered, and when we met junior sister, her mother had unfortunately passed away. I heard from Master that senior sister was born during the heaven and earth anomaly, so she must have absorbed the strange power brought about by the heaven and earth anomaly. Born during the heaven and earth anomaly? That's right, Li Haojie. Wasn't Li Haojie also born during the first heaven and earth anomaly? He also has outstanding talent and amazing cultivation speed. He instantly thought of Li Haojie, and realized that he and Zhang Ruoyun had the same experience and had the same terrifying talent. Could it be because of the two suns in the sky? Could it be that the heaven and earth anomaly not only changed the fate of the big goblin, but also the fate of humans? Bang! After absorbing Zhang Ruoyun's special energy, the middle-aged woman's control of the sword domain had increased by 10 times. It transformed into a fierce force that dissipated the mushroom bone-like energy that was pressing down on them. The mushroom bone-like energy was completely shattered, and several demonic Tao experts were sent flying. Instant teleportation talisman. The middle-aged woman crushed an instant teleportation talisman, and an astonishing suction force instantly enveloped the 4 of them. Chi. Little did they know that a black shadow had mysteriously appeared from the fog at the spirit spring. It was a huge demonic shadow. Not only did it attack the demonic Tao experts who were sent flying by the sword domain, but it also attacked the 4 people who had just entered the instant teleportation talisman. PFFF. The demonic shadow's strength was astonishing, and it suddenly attacked. The instant teleportation talisman's power had already been activated, and the 4 people hidden within it had started to fade away. However, they were all dissipated by the demonic shadow's energy. Hoo. The 4 people were sent flying 30 meters away. The middle-aged woman coughed out blood and looked at the demonic shadow. Despicable big goblin. It hides under the spirit spring and uses the spirit spring to come and go as it pleases, specifically hunting humans for food. Its speed is astonishing. This big goblin is not simple. It lives under the spirit spring. If I can control it, wouldn't I be able to collect a large amount of spirit water for me? Su Fong was not shocked or afraid. Instead, he was happy and excited. With this big goblin, he could directly use the big goblin to obtain the spirit water in the spirit spring. Humans were afraid of the high temperature inside the spirit spring, but the big goblin was not. Stop the big goblin. Force it into the spirit spring. The demonic shadow attacked once again. Its speed was its advantage, and it had ambushed the group before. Suddenly, it attacked one of the Yang Nascent Realm demonic Tao experts. That Yang Nascent Realm expert's cultivation level was only at the 3rd stage. In the end, the demonic shadow spat out a bloody tongue that was as sturdy as steel and instantly wrapped around the demonic Tao expert. That bloody tongue was astonishingly poisonous, causing the demonic Tao expert to struggle for a while before he lost consciousness and was seized by the bloody tongue. With a PFFF, the demonic shadow tore apart the demonic Tao expert's corpse and seized the golden core within. Splash! Splash! The demonic Tao expert no longer cared about Su Fong and the others as they all went to deal with the demonic shadow. As for the 4 of them, they had to seize this opportunity to leave the Spirit Springs abyss. Senior, I will take my leave now. When they arrived in the sky above the mountains, Su Fong suddenly flashed, leaving behind a sentence before disappearing. This person. It was so sudden that Yen Chan did not expect it. This person is unfathomable. It looks like he is a well-known figure of the celestial sealing sex, younger generation. The middle-aged woman looked at them meaningfully and then flew into the sky. This is bad. Yen Chan secretly looked at Zhang Ruoyun. Zhang Ruoyun was confused. What? I forgot to ask his name. Such a person, such a longevity disciple, so unfathomable and so upright. Senior sister, what are you saying? Nothing, nothing. What I mean is that since we have received his favor, we have to find an opportunity to repay him in the future. I just want to know his background so that I can repay him in the future. He must be a genius of the celestial sealing sect. He is at the longevity realm and is so strong. As long as we ask the celestial sealing sex cultivators, it should be easy to find out his name. Senior sister, let's quickly chase after Master. Okay, let's go. Yen Chan reluctantly looked at the sky where Su Fong had disappeared. At that moment, her body and mind seemed to have flown away. In fact, even Zhang Ruoyun secretly looked in the direction where Su Fong had disappeared. Su Fong seemed to have left, but he returned to Solitary Sword Valley halfway. At that moment, he had already reached the depths of the earth abyss. When he saw the rising fog from afar, he wanted to catch the big goblin and obtain the spiritual water. However, when he got close to the fog, it began to disappear. It should be that the spiritual water had stopped gushing out. More than 10 demon Dao experts flew away in embarrassment. Whoosh! A figure quickly flew into the spiritual spring's earth abyss. No matter who Su Fong was, he should want to obtain the spiritual water. However, if the spiritual spring was no longer gushing out, the spiritual water would be in the depths of the spiritual spring. There was a big goblin guarding it, so cultivators could not enter the spiritual spring space. However, this time Su Fong was wrong. When he came to the spiritual spring's entrance, he saw a figure emitting a bloody aura, deliberately attracting the big goblin to appear at the spiritual spring's entrance. Furthermore, he saw that this person was dressed in black, and his aura was very familiar. Li Haojie, it's you. The black-clothed person suddenly turned around, extremely shocked. Why are you here? Su Fong was extremely surprised and entered the spiritual spring. Li Haojie was not on guard against Su Fong, and he calmly replied, For the past 10 years, I have been cultivating in the extraterritorial land, searching for all kinds of monsters and spiritual treasures. Not long ago, I learned that there was a spiritual spring here, and there was a big goblin guarding it. I came to see if I could suppress the big goblin. Don't tell me you want to suppress it too? Our goal is the same. We want the big goblin, but we also want the spiritual water in the spiritual spring below us. The spiritual spring's temperature is extremely high. Only by suppressing the big goblin and controlling the big goblin to seize the spiritual water for us. Previously, I saw the big goblin's speed, and it is extremely shocking. Ordinary young soul cultivators are not its match. Since our goal is the same, why don't we work together to suppress the big goblin and then seize the spiritual water? Li Haojie suggested. Su Fong smiled and said, I couldn't ask for more. By the way, I saw a suppressed demon monkey in an underground market some time ago. It should be your doing, right? The extraterritorial land is equivalent to my training ground. I train all year round and use these methods to exchange for resources. I'm very curious as to how you managed to suppress so many big goblins. The latter was also curious. I relied on a Dharma treasure. Without it, I wouldn't be able to suppress the big goblin. Let's go down and deal with the big goblin. If we work together, it will definitely appear. Su Fong boldly flashed to the spiritual spring's entrance. I have the same idea. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. If we work together, no big goblin will be able to escape. Li Haojie gladly agreed, and the two of them jumped down from the spiritual spring's entrance. After entering the spiritual spring, they arrived in another space. The temperature was indeed shocking, and they were sweating all over. They were about to be cooked by the high temperature, and they immediately activated their defenses to feel better. Kiki. Perhaps it was because Li Haojie had released his blood qi earlier, or because the great demon down below possessed astonishing senses, but that familiar black demonic figure flew out from the depths of the boiling spirit water several hundred feet below. It was unknown whether it was because Li Haojie had released his blood qi earlier, or because the great demon down below possessed astonishing senses, but that familiar black demonic figure flew out from the depths of the boiling spirit water. The two of them stared at the big goblin at the same time. Su Fong laughed and said, "It came at the right time, brotherly. You don't have to work so hard to find it. It came to us on its own accord. However, I still have to rely on you to deal with it. My Dharma treasure is damaged, and I can't use it often. This time, I'll do my best to help you suppress the demon." Chapter 302. Demon Subduing Chains. Li Haojie did not have any objections after hearing this. Seeing the black demon getting closer and closer, Li Haojie decisively made his move and threw out burning chains. Pa, pa, pa. The big goblin felt the threat from the burning chains and spat out its demon aura to shake off the chains. A portion of the chains were broken as well. It was obvious that the big goblin's strength was above Li Haojie's. If it wasn't for the demon catcher's ability to restrain its strength, the big goblin would have killed Li Haojie. At that moment, the great Yao had also revealed its true form. It looked like a lizard with a body length of 3 zhang. It was unlike the other great Yao that were as big as a mountain. Its entire body was black and had a baby face. "You are a demon catcher." The demon spoke and stared at Li Haojie with its wet eyes. Li Haojie coldly said, "If you don't surrender now, I won't kill you. From now on, you will be my captive." So the demon catchers of the Zhuotian domain are still alive. This king will kill you today, and cleanse this domain of the extraterritorial zone, turning it into the demon race's territory. After the big goblin finished speaking, it spat out a large amount of demon aura. Swish, swish. Li Haojie used dozens of burning chains as if they were alive. They were like claws that attacked the demon aura head-on or fused with each other to form a defense. However, the demon aura became stronger and stronger, forcing Li Haojie to retreat. Phaseless Fire Cloud Saber. It would be difficult for a longevity realm to fight against a young infant realm big goblin. Su Fong's figure flashed and disappeared behind Li Haojie. A pair of fire cloud wings appeared on his back as he flew above the demon aura and shot out burning saber rays. This is not a small world technique. He did not expect the big goblin to be so knowledgeable to know the origin of the phaseless fire cloud saber. The demon aura moved and turned into a solid defense. When the phaseless fire cloud saber landed, the saber rays were unable to penetrate the demon aura. This big goblin was more powerful than the Lich King. Not only did the big goblin begin to defend, but it also began to attack. From the demonic fog, demonic aura that resembled fangs grew out. Moreover, there were many of them. The fangs bit towards Su Fong. It turned out that the big goblin also possessed astonishing mystical abilities. Su Fong wasn't in a hurry at all. He activated the dragon snake roll and attacked one person and the devil fog Fong. Although the big goblin was powerful, Su Fong wasn't weak either. Although he couldn't shatter the devil fog Fong, he could still block the big goblin's attack. Brotherly, I will suppress the big goblin's movements. The big goblin's demon fog seemed to be as sturdy as a mountain, and Li Haojie was unable to resist it. Su Fong activated his flaming cloud wings and released all the energy in his body. After using the illusory fire cloud, a saber gleam 10 times stronger than before instantly enveloped the demon fog. Brother Fang's energy is so shocking. I wonder how powerful and vast your golden core is. The demon fog instantly turned into a huge fireball that was burned by the formless fire cloud saber. As expected, the formless fire cloud saber suppressed the demon fog. When Li Haojie saw this scene, he felt that this was a mystical ability that only a Yang Soul Realm expert could use. Only a Yang Soul Realm expert could have such vast energy. How could he know that Su Fang was already a Void Realm expert and didn't have a golden core? You two humans are a great threat to my demon race. Today, I will definitely kill you. Inside the demon fog near the fangs formed by the demon fog Fang, a large number of huge arms were formed. The arms viciously grabbed towards Su Fang and Li Haojie. Demon vanquishing sword Qi. Li Haojie looked at the huge arms that were grabbing towards him. His strength was raised to the maximum. His longevity stage 7 cultivation had reached the indestructible realm. He was almost the same as Su Fang. They were both extremely terrifying existences. This time, he didn't use the demon vanquishing chains, but a sword technique. Staring at the demon fog hand that was grabbing towards him, he formed a seal with both hands. A few waves of sword Qi rushed out and actually cut the demon fog hand in half. What a powerful sword Qi! Once the demon vanquishing sword Qi was unleashed, it contained a divine might that could restrain demon Qi. Therefore, coupled with the power of the sword Qi itself, it was able to cut through the power of the Yang Soul Big Goblin. Su Fang was also attacked by the demon fog hand from above. The huge hand came from a part of the giant. When it slammed down or pressed down, Su Fang couldn't help but feel that he was turning into minced meat. Illusory Sword Qi. Combining the Daluo Heavenly Sword Qi with the illusory fire cloud, Su Fang unleashed a unique sword technique that belonged to him. A large amount of burning flames immediately turned into burning sword Qi, attacking the huge hand in a besieging manner. As expected, the huge hand was cut apart one by one. At this moment, the two longevity stage cultivators were competing with the big goblin in terms of strength and divine abilities. Not only did they need strength, but they also needed exquisite sword technique. Sword Qi transcending space. Looking at the current situation, Su Fang had to bring even more terrifying pressure to the big goblin. Therefore, he once again activated the vast energy in his body and unleashed a shocking divine ability. Countless burning sword Qi were born. Each sword Qi was 3 meters long, forming a vast expanse in front of the demon fog hand. As Su Fang raised his hand, the burning sword Qi attacked the demon fog hand that was already surrounded by flames. We're both in the longevity stage, but he's much stronger than me. He's only in the longevity stage 6. Li Haojie, who was engaged in battle below, was once again shocked by this scene. Longevity stage and undying stage cultivators couldn't unleash such a large-scale divine ability. Only imperishable stage geniuses could possibly unleash it. Li Haojie transmitted, "Brother Fang, I'm going to activate a suppressing magic treasure. This big goblin is truly powerful. If this continues, even if Brother Fang has as much energy as the sea, you'll still be exhausted. Our cultivation levels are the key. If we were imperishable stage cultivators, the big goblin would definitely die under our divine abilities today. Fine, if this continues, we'll definitely use up a lot of energy." Su Fang agreed. He also wanted to see what kind of magic treasure Li Haojie had that could suppress the big goblin. Li Haojie flashed out. With a flip of his right hand, a foot-long bronze scroll appeared in his palm. Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be a book, an iron book. "Senior, do you know what kind of magic treasure that is?" Curious, Su Fang asked Green Feather King to sense the magic treasure in Li Haojie's hand. Green Feather King immediately sighed. "It's not a high-grade or king-grade magic treasure, but a Dao item. Its aura is simple, and it seems to be an extraordinary Dao item. Furthermore, this king only needed to sense it for a moment, and that Tao item emitted an aura that made this king tremble. It's a Tao item specialized in suppressing demons. A suppressing demon Tao item. This kid is the nemesis of the demons. With such a peerless Tao item, once his cultivation base reaches the Yang Soul realm, even this king would be suppressed if he encountered him. That Tao item is too terrifying. Green Feather King sighed once more. Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. Li Haojie swiped his hands over the bronze Tao item, and it floated into the air. As expected, it was a book. It originally didn't have any aura, but it suddenly opened like a book, releasing rings of green light. The green light expanded until it touched the demonic mist. Whoosh! The demonic mist was like a bubble upon contact with the green light. Large amounts of it disappeared, but in truth, it was being devoured by the green light. Clang! A flying sword flew out of the demonic mist. Taking advantage of the demonic mist's concealment, the flying sword struck the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. If it weren't for the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome, the flying sword would have easily killed Li Haojie. The difference between a Tao item and a high-grade Dharma artifact was obvious at this moment. The flying sword struck the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome, but it didn't move at all. Not only that, but the green light was sucked into the depths of the demonic mist, and howls of struggle came from within. Whoosh! Whoosh! The demonic mist also began to collapse. Su Fang put away the illusory fire cloud, and from within it, he saw the big goblin struggling in pain. The green light had left bone-deep wounds on the big goblin's body. What a powerful Tao item! It's much stronger than Xianhuang. Su Fang finally saw Li Haojie's strength. With the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome, even a Yang Soul realm powerhouse couldn't do anything to him. It was no wonder he could survive in the outer realm. Seal! Li Haojie shouted a command to the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. The green light swept over and dragged the big goblin into the heavenly tome. On the surface of the heavenly tome, there was a carving that was exactly the same as the big goblin's. It seemed that the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome would show the same carving when suppressing a big goblin. Su Fang flew over. Without the big goblin, how are we going to collect the spirit water? No problem. I will make the big goblin submit. It will take some time. Li Haojie gestured and flew towards the boiling spirit water with the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome and Su Fang. The spirit water kept disappearing. After waiting for a while, Li Haojie activated the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome again. After the heavenly tome opened, a green demonic light shot out and turned into a huge mouth that bit at the spirit water. Gulp! The demonic light sucked the spirit water into the Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome. What a magical Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome! This big goblin is also extraordinary. It's a pity to kill it. Its body can withstand high temperatures and the corrosive gas from the boiling spirit water. The same goes for the big goblin's esophagus. After an hour, the spirit water had dried up. The Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome had only absorbed part of it. Most of it had disappeared deep underground and could not be found. Li Haojie looked at Su Fang and took out a jade bottle. The Yuan suppressing demon transforming heavenly tome poured out waves of spirit water into the jade bottle. When Su Fang received the jade bottle, he saw that the spirit water was enough to concoct a few 100 million impotence pills. He did not expect to receive such a big gift this time. I heard that the Celestial Sealing Sect is going to hold a large-scale training this time. Li Haojie kept his Dharma treasure. At this moment, he was just an ordinary longevity realm cultivator. The two of them left the spirit water and flew towards the exit. Su Fang replied, "About 100,000 disciples. I don't know much about the Xianjia Gate, and I don't know what unexpected situations we will encounter this time. The Xianjia Gate is a peerless Dao artifact. Countless factions and cultivators want to possess it. Over the years that I've been in the foreign realms, I've seen many Yang Soul Realm cultivators perish for it. Countless experts from the Devil Dao, the Evil Dao, and the Yao clan have gathered here. There are also many natural strongholds like Solitary Sword Valley. Brother Fong, if you enter the Xianjia Gate, you have to be careful. It's best if you don't enter the depth. After flying out of the mountains, Li Haojie cupped his fist. We will part here. Brother Fong and I are fated. We will meet often in the extraterritorial land. Take care. The next time we meet, we will have a good chat. Su Fong watched as Li Haojie left. Genius. This was the true pride of the heavens. Buzz. There was a sudden movement from the token. After activating it, a solemn voice sounded. Immortal Celestial Disciple Fong Yu of the Icy Moon Grotto, Immortal Stage 5. Please gather at the designated location within 3 months. You will be led by one of the 3 Honorable Dao's disciples, Huang Lingyao, to participate in this training. The training is finally about to begin. Huang Lingyao, the leader of the Fragrant Jade Party. Why does it feel like this is a contest between the 3 major factions? After hearing this, he pondered for a moment and asked the Green Feather King, Senior, do you know one of the Honorable Dao's disciples, Huang Lingyao? He then sped up and flew towards the depths of the flying celestial island. This king naturally knows her. She is a woman, an incredible woman. Not only is she a Honorable Dao's disciple, but she is also called the most beautiful woman by the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples. A woman who can become a Honorable Dao's disciple must be extraordinary. Do you remember Yun Fuxin? The Green Feather King asked again. How can I forget such a person? He is a desolate physique user. Su Fong felt strange. He did not know why Yun Fuxin was mentioned, but he was immediately shocked. Could Huang Lingyao be a desolate physique user too? Chapter 303. Desolate Physique Yun Fuxin. How could Su Fong forget the unique physique of a pocket world? Green Feather King said, Huang Lingyao is one of the 2 desolate physiques of the Immortal Sealing Sect. She was recruited by the Immortal Sealing Sect a long time ago to be nurtured as a future successor. This girl is truly gifted and has not brought disgrace to the desolate physique. She has cultivated for less than 1,000 years, but her cultivation has already reached a terrifying level. In the current Immortal Sealing Sect, her strength is about the same as Jin Chongkong and Yuan Tianzong's, or even stronger. Desolate physique. If she's a desolate physique, doesn't that mean she's destined to be the future leader of the Celestial Sealing Sect? That's hard to say. Why? The disciples of the 3 Dao of Venerables are all incredible. Huang Lingyao is a desolate physique cultivator, 1 in 10,000. There aren't many desolate physiques in the Zhuotian world either. She might become the leader of the Celestial Sealing Sect, but the other 2 disciples aren't simple either. For example, Prince Shui obtained the inheritance of an immortal and is destined to become a peerless immortal. The other one, Xing Chongxing, isn't simple either. Since the disciples of the 3 Dao of Venerables are all incredible, isn't that good? I can use Huang Lingyao to protect myself, so the Crown Prince faction won't be able to do anything to me. At this point, Su Fong had a rough idea of what to do. Dealing with the Crown Prince faction wasn't something that could be done overnight. If he had to rely on himself, he would have to wait until he reached the Yang Soul realm before he could truly contend with the Crown Prince faction. For now, he still had to rely on external help. At this time, they were already in the depths of the flying Immortal Island. This huge continent used to be an island, but it made people feel relaxed and happy. The world was filled with spiritual fog, which formed in the sky, forests, and mountains due to the abundance of spiritual qi. Unfortunately, this place was contaminated by the chi of a pocket world from the celestial sealing sect, causing the energy here to change. It wasn't suitable for human cultivators to cultivate here. A few hours later, in the depths of the world filled with spiritual fog, he suddenly saw a silver triangular light. It slowly passed through the fog and was permanently embedded in the central world. Celestial Sealing Sect. Su Fang slowed down. The triangular silver light was the symbol of the Xianjia Gate. Only when he got closer did he realize that it looked like a sailboat's sail. It was not a mountain peak, nor was it a Tao artifact. Instead, it was a type of sacred transcendent king-grade artifact, the Xianguang. The triangular Xianguang was fixed in the center of the flying, immortal island. It became the core of the Yu Islands and the center of all energy. So many disciples from the Celestial Sealing Gate. 100,000 people is no small matter. As they got closer to the Celestial Gate, they saw a mountain range breaking through the fog. There were several mountain peaks in the middle, which were filled with disciples of the Celestial Sealing School. The robes of the disciples of the three factions were yellow, black, and blue. Su Fang stared at the large number of blue-robed disciples in the center, and Shan immediately flew up. More and more disciples rushed over. When Su Fang arrived at the mountain peak where the blue-robed disciples were, a Yang Soul Realm disciple verified his identity. All the blue-robed disciples on this mountain peak were under Huang Lingyao's charge. I am one of the leaders appointed by Senior Sister Huang. This time, I will be in charge of your training in the Celestial Gate. My name is Qi Tianjin, and I am a disciple of Qingqing Grotto Heaven's transcendent reaching immortal heaven. 1,000 people were gathered in a forest. In the center was a middle-aged man. Although he was wearing a blue robe, it was not hard to tell that he was from Qingqing Grotto Heaven. He had the aura of a Yang Soul Realm expert, and he was the king among the 1,000 disciples. What kind of place is this? Celestial Gate? Even a Yang Soul Realm disciple like me will be in danger of dying at any time. If you want to survive, you must listen to the arrangements and commands. Heavenly Union Realm disciples will follow Longevity Realm disciples, Longevity Realm disciples will follow Undying Realm disciples, and Undying Realm disciples will follow Undying Realm disciples. As for the Undying Realm disciples from Transcendent Reaching Immortal Heaven, you will follow me, and I will also follow Senior Sister Huang Lingyao's intent. Only rules can make everyone cooperate. Only with cooperation can you survive. All the disciples will be in charge of the disciples of the three great venerable Taos. The sect also has rules. The Celestial Gate is not a profound cave space. Whoever obtains treasures here will own them. However, you must not kill each other because of treasures. This is not allowed by the sect. There is one more thing you must understand. The Celestial Gate is the most dangerous place in the Zhuotian world. Every force, every cultivator, including demons, can come here to fight for treasures. Therefore, there are many experts from all over the world in the Celestial Gate. Try to avoid conflicts with them. Now, follow me and use the same seals. Inject them into your tokens. This way, even if you are scattered, you can still sense each other. After Qi Tianjin finished speaking, the scene was silent. Every disciple listened quietly. After he formed seals with both hands, the 1,000 disciples around him also began to form seals. The seal's aura began to fuse with the tokens. After everything was done, Qi Tianjin let everyone rest in the forest, while he and a few Yang Soul Realm experts flew to the mountain peak. It really is Fang Yu from Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven. The higher-ups asked us to find this person's whereabouts. I didn't expect him to be assigned here. It just so happens that he is with us. All right, I have secretly sent out the news. This time, we have done a meritorious service. The 1,000 people entered the trees and the forest to rest in 2s and 3s, or in groups of 10. When Su Fang turned around, he heard many people talking about him behind him. It didn't matter if he didn't hear it. Once he heard it, he knew that they were members of the Crown Prince Society. He glanced around and saw that there were many of them. There were more than 100 of them, and they were all immortal and indestructible disciples. Once he entered the Xianjia Gate and started training, these members of the Crown Prince Society would attack him at any time. He secretly remembered these people. He came under a big tree and secretly absorbed the spiritual energy of an immortal flower to strengthen his immortal stage 6 physical body. Since he broke through, he had not reached his normal state. Immortal stage disciples of the immortal stage. A few days had passed. Su Fang had been stabilizing his strength. Most of the disciples around him were cultivating, and some of them were very relaxed. At this moment, more than a dozen disciples were walking along the forest. They carefully sized up every disciple around them. Some disciples nodded at them, and some joined them. When they saw Su Fang, none of them recognized him. He opened his eyes and saw that they were all disciples of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven. These disciples of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven seemed to be disciples from the same training ground. When they saw Su Fang, they were unfamiliar with him. They couldn't recognize him at all. However, from the accessories on his body, they could tell that he was a immortal stage disciple. Strangely, he was also a immortal stage disciple. Fang Yu, one of the immortal stage disciples, walked out. He recognized Su Fang. When Su Fang saw him, he was unfamiliar with him at first, but soon he became familiar with him. This person was Hua Tianyuan, who had bought the Barbarian Rune Divine Power Cauldron from him. Although they had only met once, Su Fang remembered him very clearly. Because of the immortal stage experts of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven who had bought the Barbarian Rune Divine Power Cauldron from him, only 2 of them had reached the immortal stage 10. One was him, and the other was Fu Tianshan. Now, Hua Tianyuan was a disciple of the immortal stage heaven and an immortal stage disciple. Just like Fu Tianshan, he had left the immortal stage. Senior brother Tianyuan, so this is Fang Yu, who was ranked first on the human ranking list and entered the immortal stage 5 not long ago. The dozens of disciples of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven were all shocked. Before, they thought that Su Fang, a mere immortal stage disciple, was not worthy of their attention. Who knew that he was the new genius who had recently become famous in Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven? Hua Tianyuan said, "This time, all the disciples of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven had better unite. Fang Yu, although you didn't give me the Barbarian Rune Divine Power Cauldron and gave it to Fu Tianshan, I don't hold a grudge against you. It's just a business deal. I hope that everyone can work together in this experience." "Thank you for your reminder, senior brother." Su Fang cupped his fists in return. After Hua Tianyuan nodded, he walked forward with the others. Hua Tianyuan was not an important person among these disciples of Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven. There were also high-level immortal stage experts among them. Su Fang also walked around the mountain peak later. More than 30,000 people gathered here, and all of them were elites. This kind of scene was rare in the history of the immortal sealing sect. "Brother Fang." Suddenly, a giant man rushed out from the crowd. Just as he was about to leave the mountain peak, he was surprised to see the giant man. It turned out to be Lu Han, who was cultivating in the Vulture Grotto Heaven. It was such a coincidence that he was also assigned to Huang Lingyao's camp. Lu Han's cultivation had been promoted from the Heavenly Union stage to the Immortal stage 3rd layer, and his speed was still amazing. Su Fang chatted with him for a while, but unfortunately, he was not a member of Qi Tianjin's group. After chatting for a long time, Su Fang learned that Lu Han's cultivation in the Vulture Grotto Heaven was not bad overall. If this continued, he would also step into the Immortal stage in the future. After chatting for a while, Su Fang said goodbye to him. When he went down the mountain, he unexpectedly sensed a familiar but illusory breath. This made Su Fang curious. It should be an acquaintance, but he didn't know many people in the immortal sealing sect. After searching for a while and confirming the specific direction of the breath, he rushed over to take a look. It was actually a young soul expert. Before he saw the expert's face, he was attracted by a dozen people next to him. Su Fang recognized one of them at a glance. It was Qin Feng. He was a cultivator from the Gu King's Valley. When he sensed the others, he also sensed the breath of Gu worms in their bodies. No wonder he felt a familiar breath. It turned out that he was a cultivator from the Gu King's Valley. Qin Feng also happened to see Su Fang. He was stunned for a moment and immediately asked the young soul expert to turn around. It was actually Qi Yuan Ao, whom he met once in the Gu King's Valley. Qi Yuan Ao, Qin Feng, and the others walked over from afar. Fang Yu, what a coincidence! Which group are you in? Su Fang saluted everyone. Senior brother Qi Tianjin. Oh, it's senior brother Qi. Look, I have a good relationship with senior brother Qi. There are many experts with the surname Qi in the Immortal Sealing sect. Because we have a good relationship, senior brother Qi is very strong. You're already at the peak of the Yang Soul realm. Qi Yuan Ao wasn't as cold and arrogant as before in the Gu King's Valley. The Gu King's Valley and Su Fang also had a good relationship. At least in the Immortal Sealing sect, their relationship was the best. They had a deep understanding of each other. Through chatting, he found out that Qi Yuan Ao had received unexpected care this time. The disciples of the Gu King's Valley didn't need to be separated. The dozen disciples were led by him to participate in the trial. With a young soul expert like him looking after them, disciples like Qin Feng wouldn't have any accidents. This was the status of the Gu King's Valley. Buzz. Soon, everyone's tokens began to buzz. After bidding farewell to the Gu King's Valley, Su Fang immediately rushed back. Senior brother, Fang Yu is now a genius of the Frozen Moon Paradise, the first on the mortal ranking. I didn't expect him to enter the high immortal heaven before me in such a short time. Looking at the direction Su Fang disappeared, Qin Feng sighed in front of Qi Yuan Ao. Back then, he was the witness of Su Fang's growth. He didn't expect that Su Fang, aside from cultivation, had surpassed him in strength and influence. Qi Yuan Ao said, Grand Elder is right. Fang Yu is indeed an extraordinary person. It's impossible to predict. Everyone should interact with Fang Yu more in the future. This time, everyone is following Senior Sister Huang. There will be opportunities to meet again. Inform everyone to be careful. The trial is about to officially start. This time, the trial in the Immortal Jia Gate is extremely dangerous. A large number of Yang Soul Realm disciples will be mobilized. Qi Yuan Ao waved his hand and led the Gu King's Valley disciples to the mountain peak. Chapter 304. When Su Fang returned to the camp, Qi Tianjin and several Yang Soul Realm powerhouses also appeared. They gathered 1,000 people and flew into the air. Only when they were in the air did they see that the other two venerable Tao disciples had already taken the lead. Their camp was the slowest. More than 30,000 people were divided into more than 30 square formations, flying towards the triangular and sail-shaped silver-white holy light. After more than 2 hours, they finally saw the Xianjia Gate. No, maybe this was just the appearance of the Xianjia Gate. The sail-like silver light was tens of thousands of feet tall, firmly embedded in the ground, majestic and motionless. The entire Xianjia Gate appeared to be in a Xian Guang state. Seeing this scene, Su Fang was very puzzled and immediately asked Green Feather King. You're not the only one who can't figure it out. No one in the Zhuotian realm can figure it out. If a Tao artifact is an ownerless object, it normally wouldn't have any aura, just like an ordinary object. However, this Xianjia Gate is in a state of activation. The aura formed this vast Xian Guang and changed the entire outer realm. Green Feather King slowly said, The most convincing thing is that the Xianjia Gate's original spirit is activating this Tao artifact, so the Xianjia Gate has always been in a state of expansion. However, it can't explain another point. Could it be that the Xianjia Gate has an owner? Could it be that no one has cracked the secret of the Xianjia Gate? The more he listened, the more confused he became. Of course, if the secret is cracked, then the Xianjia Gate will disappear from the Zhuotian realm, because this kind of thing has happened in other small worlds. Some Dao artifacts or cave mansions left behind by immortals will often disappear after being obtained and merged with by later generations. And the Xianjia Gate is still standing here, which means that no one has ever cracked its secret. I don't know when the 3 venerable Dao disciples will have such good luck this time. After Su Fang heard this, he secretly followed the crowd and continued to approach the Xianjia Gate under Qi Tianjin's lead. The Xianjia Gate became more and more vast, and countless disciples couldn't help but sigh. They were subdued by its majesty and domineering aura. Although it wasn't the true body of the Xianjia Gate, countless disciples felt that this was the first Dao artifact they had seen in their lives. After another half an incense stick of time, the team arrived in front of the Xianjia Gate. At this moment, Su Fang saw that outside the Xian Guang wall, there were hundreds of wonderful doors. One by one, the teams entered the doors. It was the turn of Qi Tianjin's team. The moment they entered the portal, they felt as if they had stepped into another world. As soon as he stepped through the door, the world around him changed. His body felt twice as heavy as before, and he couldn't even breathe normally. Furthermore, the spiritual energy here was at least 10 times stronger than in the outside world, far surpassing the essence of the House of Immortal Sealing's Taoist rite. This was not the Zhuotian realm, but an existence of a smaller world. Qi Tianjin gathered everyone. This is the outer space of the Xianjia door. Rumor has it that it's a boundary space activated by a Dao artifact, and the true entrance to the Xianjia door is in the depths of the inner space. You can't go there, and even a 10th stage Yang Soul Realm expert like me won't be able to come out once I enter. The 1,000 people listened quietly. They felt very small in this immortal artifact boundary space. The outer space is very strange. You should have seen many wonderful doors outside before. Each wonderful door is an inner space. We are in an inner space. The inner space is very vast because it's a space created by a Dao artifact's magic power. There are countless spirit treasures in this space that have absorbed the high-level energy brought by the Xianjia door. They are spirit treasures that contain the aura of a great world. There are also a small number of great world treasures that flow out of the Xianjia door. They are very rare and can only be encountered by relying on luck and opportunity. The rest are the relics of some experts who died here. There are mid-grade, high-grade, and even royal-grade magic artifacts. If you get some treasures that contain the aura of a great world, it's best to hand them over to the sect. You can't refine those treasures. That's all I want to say. I will be in the center of this space with my Yang Soul Realm junior brother. You can train alone. If you encounter a devil, kill it. If you encounter a demon, kill it. If you encounter a demon, kill it. Qi Tianjin finished speaking and raised her hand, rising into the air with the Yang Soul Realm expert. The 1,000 disciples immediately flew into the depths and gradually landed. There were forests and mountains on the ground, but most of them were ruins left behind by battles. It seemed that there were too many cultivators fighting for treasures here over the years. The disciples began to split up in different directions. There were fewer and fewer people left. Su Fang chose a direction alone and entered a mountain range. The spirit fog in this space was even more astonishing. Even the ground was covered in spirit fog. It was completely a world of spirit qi. Because of this, normal vision could only reach up to 100 meters. In addition, the energy here was complex and restrained one's perception. The range of a cultivator's perception was limited to 200 to 300 meters. A Yang Soul Realm expert could sense around 500 meters. In the outside world, a Yang Soul Realm expert could sense everything within 10 kilometers. After an hour, Su Fang arrived in the depths of the mountain. At this moment, he felt as if he had arrived in a world without people. This world was very deep and had many unpredictable dangers. These spirit grasses really contain high-level spirit chi. The spirit chi is so abundant that it's about to overflow. Soon, he found 2 spirit grasses. They were not mature and had just grown, but they had surpassed the spirit grasses in the outside world. They contained astonishing spirit chi. The most special thing was the high-level spirit chi. "Senior, can I gather these spirit grasses and cultivate them outside?" He did not want to miss out on spirit grasses. He could take them back to refine pills or cultivate. If you can think of it, others can also think of it. Many cultivators are like you. In the end, if you take them out to cultivate, they will die in a few years. Spirit grasses absorb the special spirit chi of Xianjia Gate and can only survive here. Once they leave, relying on the spirit chi of Zhuotian world will not allow them to survive. Could it be that ordinary spirit grasses are unable to adapt to the spirit chi of a great world? This is the same principle as cultivation. A Heaven Union Realm cultivator cannot withstand the power of a yang soul, let alone possess a yang soul. It is the same for spirit grasses. They can only survive with high-level energy and absorb essence. Once they lose this high-level energy, they will also wither. Junior understands. In the end, he gave up. He walked forward alone and saw a dozen or so large trees that had been cut off. There should have been a battle here not long ago. Originally, there was nothing special, but at the cut of the fallen tree, there were some crystalline particles and liquid accumulated. This is the essence of the tree's growth rings. It's just right for dragon-subduing wood to cultivate. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. These inconspicuous substances were the essence. After squatting down, one end of the dragon-taming wood appeared in his right palm. Close to the essence of the tree, the dragon-taming wood trembled in surprise and greedily absorbed the essence and liquid. After absorbing the essence of the dozen or so trees, the dragon-taming wood actually grew an inch longer. The spirit patterns inside also became clearer. Green Feather King transmitted. Xianjia Gate is full of treasures. Of course, for ordinary cultivators, they cannot fuse with these high-level energy. The dragon-taming wood is a wood attribute spirit treasure. When it encounters these high-level wood attribute essences, it will naturally grow quickly. Xianjia Gate is full of treasures for you. Ordinary cultivators who come here do not dare to wantonly absorb the spirit chi here for fear that they cannot fuse and refine it. The dragon-taming wood's transformation was astonishing. If Xianjia Gate had a large amount of this giant tree essence, the dragon-taming wood would definitely undergo an earth-shaking transformation. The Undying Realm expert Cest was of Undying sat this moment. The aped Undying Realm experts Undying's T8 have 8 Undying T. The TT Undying AS Undying 8 TTTTT have 8 Ts. Surround and kill the demon. Its speed is too terrifying. Don't get close. The ape is T is Undying Realm experts is Undying the Undying Realm experts Unis Realm experts. The ape's speed was even more abnormal. A high-grade transcendent artifact was already powerful, and under the control of a yang soul, it was about to hit the ape in the blink of an eye. However, the ape's legs kicked off, and its hands slid outwards in a swimming motion. With a boom, it disappeared from its original spot. The air caught fire from the friction of its speed. Puff, puff. The 3 upper-grade Dharma artifacts hit the void. On the other side, the 7 Immortal Realm experts were either knocked away by the burning shadows, smashed in their heads, or pierced through their stomach. The ape and dog made use of speed to kill people like scything flax. Moreover, it was too easy. In the blink of an eye, the 7 immortal powerhouses were turned into piles of minced meat. Run, run. This was simply a massacre. The difference between cultivators and apes and dogs was simply too shocking. Humans, you are all my prey. You still want to escape? As the 3 young soul cultivators summoned back their Dharma treasures and fled, the ape shot through the air and grabbed the head of one of the young soul cultivators behind it. Pung! The young soul stage cultivator would not wait to be killed. Seeing the ape and dog coming at him, he turned around and slashed at the ape and dog's arm. Who would have thought that the high-grade magic tool would not be able to cut off the ape's arm? Instead, it was shaken off by the ape and dog. Its 5 fingers dug into the young soul stage cultivator's chest and took out his heart before swallowing it. The ape was too strong. A young soul giant was almost instantly killed. What are you looking at? The ape dog's senses are terrifying. Why aren't you leaving? Do you think I'm joking with you? The Green Feather King angrily roared. Junior has never seen this kind of big goblin. I want to broaden my horizons. Su Fong also thoroughly understood the ape dog's terrifying power. He gratefully urged his fire-cloud wings to fly into the depths of the forest. This king also wants to know how powerful these legendary ancient beasts are. Who wouldn't be curious? Ancient beasts are legends, and they only exist in large worlds filled with experts. Their status in the demon race isn't high, but their strength is terrifying. This king has lived in the Zhuotian realm for so long, but this is the first time I've seen an ancient beast. They are a beast race, and they can't transform into humans. I don't know what secrets the Xianjia Gate has, or why such a beast would appear. I also don't know how many humans died at the hands of those apes and dogs, sighed Greenfeather King. Passing through forest after forest, Su Fong did not know how vast the Xianjia Gate's outer space was. Adding on the fog, he did not feel at ease. When he crossed a mountain range, he saw that a corner of the mountain range had been completely cut off. There was a deep pit at the foot of the mountain. A supreme expert had used a grand divine ability to cut off the entire mountain, creating this pit. That meant there had once been treasures here, but it had been taken away by others. Su Fong went to the depths of the pit to look. There were also traces of excavation everywhere. At the end of the pit was an underground river. The spiritual qi here was especially abundant. Some of the broken stones here were even comparable to low-grade spirit stones. Could it be that there was once a spirit vein here? There was only one possibility. There had once been a large amount of spirit stones here. Adding on the fact that such a large space had been excavated, it should have been a legendary spirit vein. Spirit veins formed from spirit stones were peerless treasures. Spirit veins could produce countless spirit stones, and the true use of spirit veins was to construct a Tao right. Spirit veins could provide a steady stream of spirit energy for a Tao right. Another use was to refine a peerless magical treasure. For example, the Ku family of one of the 3 mine families on Qilian Star had occupied a spirit vein and become a tyrant. I didn't expect there to be spirit herbs here. In this empty underground world, other than the underground river, there was nothing else. But who would have thought that there would be over 1,000 mature spirit herbs on the shore? They could be used to refine many medicinal pills or directly consume them for cultivation. Spirit herbs were the best food for demons. Demons ate spirit herbs and spirit fruits to grow and transform. There were also some natural spirit treasures that ate spirit herbs as food. Why are these spirit herbs growing in the river emitting traces of devil qi? The remaining spirit herbs were growing in the water. When Su Fong gathered them, he found that the spirit herb's aura was different from the others. After thinking for a moment, Su Fong immediately activated Mysterious Yellow. Master! The Leech King appeared. There must be a devil path energy somewhere in the upper reaches of this underground river. Go investigate. He ordered the Leech King. With a plop, the Leech King jumped into the underground river. After a few bubbles, he disappeared without a trace. After waiting for an hour, the water splashed and the Leech King flew out. This subordinate found a Devil Path immortal cave. It's completely intact and hasn't been excavated by humans. Bring me there. Su Fong was filled with anticipation. He didn't expect to really have a harvest. He jumped into the Leech King's mouth. The Leech King transformed back into its true body and drilled into the dark and cold river water. After a while, there was a plop. The Leech King opened its mouth, and Su Fong arrived in a cave with plenty of space and spirit light. There was also an underground river beside it. The cave was not excavated and should have been naturally formed. The cave was filled with powerful devil chi. Even the underground river was filled with plants that contained devil chi. Although the cave was naturally formed, there was a barrier around it. The barrier was still there, which should be the reason why the immortal cave had not been excavated. He carefully arrived at the center. As expected, it was a Devil Path expert's training ground. At the center was a spirit altar made of top-grade spirit stones. The spirit stones were palm-sized, and the spirit altar was filled with spirit energy. Just this spirit altar alone was shockingly rich. There were several spirit ponds around the spirit altar. They were also made of top-grade spirit stones. Su Fong saw blood-colored spirit water in one of the spirit ponds. There was actually a naked baby in one of the spirit ponds. That baby looked like an ordinary child. But looking closer, it was not an ordinary baby. The devil chi it contained was actually the aura of a true devil. It seems this is a true devil's training ground. Su Fong activated Heaven Earth, and a green figure appeared. The Green Feather King appeared. Comfortable, this natural space really is comfortable. The Green Feather King stretched his back. He could finally come out for a breath of fresh air. That was because even the immortal sealing sex experts were unable to sense his aura in this immortal Jia Gates formation world. Senior, what do you think this baby is? He quickly asked the Green Feather King. It should be one of the Devil Path's legendary blood ghosts. They're born from the essence blood of countless children. As expected of an old antique, he immediately saw through it. It's not easy to raise a blood ghost. I don't know how many babies you have to catch before you can successfully raise one. Look, there are some human skins under the spirit pool. There should be many babies being raised together before each spirit pool, but in the end, only one survived. This king heard that in the Zhuotian world's devil path, the blood ghosts refined by the 100 Devil sect are the most powerful. So cruel. The demonic path cultivators are like this. They will go to the mortal world and casually capture newborn babies. In the eyes of the demonic path cultivators, the mortals of the mortal world are nothing more than ants. You've picked up a great treasure this time. A blood ghost, a successfully bred blood ghost. Do you know how precious a blood ghost is? Senior, please explain. This thing might seem disgusting to you, but it is indeed evil. But blood ghosts have indescribable uses.